What's going on, dude? How's it been?
Cold.
Yeah, you're throwing bags at the airport like what, 2 days a week? 3 days a week?
Oh, no, not even that much. Let's see. It's like I do like 6 shifts a month.
That's such a sweet gig. I see you guys traveling all over the place. It's such a great benefit.
Yeah. It's the only perk that people really work at the airport for.
Yeah. Yeah, through all the holidays and stuff, it's like, but that's just on standby though, so right?
Yeah, so you have
that's
to pick and choose. So that's why we travel, like with the kids being on homeschool. Now we travel during the school year versus, there's no way if you're doing standby and trying to do it through like spring break, not happening.
That's one thing I always commended about you is that all the vacations you do, you say, nope, we're taking all our kids.
Yeah.
So I would ask you, like, you and your wife just going? You're like, no, we go as the whole family. Like going to Vegas. I remember when we were working together, you guys would go on like 5-6 days in Vegas or something.
Yeah. Kids always go everywhere.
That's pretty cool. Is that something that your family always did and you just carried on with that?
Yeah, growing up, it was my parents. We're not going to pay someone to raise our kids. So it was like, we go, the kids go.
That's pretty cool. Have you guys ever done anything by yourself, you and your wife?
No.
No?
We went on one so-called vacation. We went to my sister's wedding in Vegas. But other than that, no.
Was it weird not having kids?
It was weird not having the kids. It feels, I don't feel comfortable with it. It's just like not knowing what the kids are doing, where the kids are at.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. Especially with this day and age. And I guess if you leave them with family, then it's a little bit better, but.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll get into the travel part of it because you've traveled the world. You guys have seen some stuff. I want to get into that vacation you guys just took. That looked pretty sweet. So
it was fun.
It was like 14 days or something, right? Yeah.
We got a 23-day one coming up in 2027.
Gosh.
And that's the whole Mediterranean. We have a few, like we've got.
I think my dad did that one.
2 back-to-back weeks in April. And then we have the South Pacific, which is we fly into Tahiti in September, go to the Polynesian Islands, Bora Bora, all that, and then we fly out of Fiji.
And these are all cruises?
Yeah. Bree, I took her on one cruise, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Now she's on the phone with my dad like daily, like, hey, when's the next cruise? What are we doing? Where are we going?
Yeah.
And now being a travel agent, it works out well. So
yeah, even better. All right, dude. Well, for everybody that doesn't know you, Brock Sande, where are you from?
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, North Idaho.
Northern Idaho. Dang. What's it like up there, man? I've been there a couple times just for work, like staying at the hotel, but I've never really got to go and travel around. I know they got that, was it Sandwood, the amusement park? What's it called? Silverwood.
Silverwood. I was like, Sandwood. I was like, wait,
yeah.
what is he talking about?
I was thinking of Sandy Beach.
Silverwood, largest theme park in the Northwest.
Yeah, I've never been there still, but is that pretty much like you guys had season passes there when you lived there pretty much? Or
I worked there. That was my first job growing up. My first job. I was there at 13 years old. You could work there when you were younger. So, started out working there. I had passes just through the working there and stuff, but no, it was a good time. It's a lot bigger than it was when I was there. Younger. I don't know. See, it's been got to be at least 20 years since I've been there. I mean, every time we go up there, we talk about going up there and then see the prices, and I was like, no, I'm not going to pay to stand in line all day long. It's like going to Disneyland now.
Yeah, it's like I think in Utah, Lagoon's like $80 a person now or something like that. I remember when I was a kid, it was like 40, and you bring a can of Coke, and it was like 35 or something.
And of course, you're there during any of the busy times. I mean, trying to get on rides, it's crazy.
Did you want to get a job there, or was it something your parents were like, you need to get a job as soon as you can? Or
Oh, no, I totally wanted to get a job, and I had been looking around, and obviously back then you could get a job younger than you can now. Like, I think the ages right now is like 15 or something we've looked at for my son. He wants to get a job, and most of the places around here, the only places you can get is you can do fast food, or you have Wahoo, or what's not Wahoo's, what's the
Roaring Springs?
Roaring Springs.
Yeah.
You can do Roaring Springs, but you can only do certain stuff there. Like, you can work as like the cleanup crew or working in one of the little restaurant things there, but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you do? I just want to get into like the Coeur d'Alene life. It looks like it's a pretty big town, but I mean, back when you were living there, was it smaller then?
Farms.
Yeah.
A lot of it was farms. I used to race my motorcycle, my dirt bikes up through the farm areas and up through the trees. And yeah, it's crazy. Every time I go home, it's like there's always something new building up. It's kind of like Boise. Like everywhere you go now, anywhere they can shove a house, they're going to put one.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of. I see a lot of like rich people own houses on the lake and stuff now.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the Idaho's most expensive houses on that lake, right? On Coeur d'Alene Lake.
Yeah, it's not Hagedon. Hagedon's the one that his family like owns.
They
Coeur
own
d'Alene,
like the whole, yeah.
Yeah, it's oh, why'd you have to put me on the spot? If you wouldn't put me on the spot, I
Yeah.
would have known that. But yeah, it's a big white house. It's at the edge of the Spokane River.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize how big that Coeur d'Alene Lake was too. Like if you look at it on a map,
Yeah, a lot of good fishing.
Yeah. So what was life like growing up there? What'd you guys do?
Oh, I didn't grow up to where my parents were like. We grew up in a stable family, but not like we weren't like rich by any means. So a lot of our stuff. I mean, I was a traditional kid. Spent my nights hanging out until the lights came on outside and riding around on my bike. I loved school. Oh, I loved friends at school. I didn't really like school, but it was simple compared to what it is now, compared to what life is.
Were you a troublemaker as a kid?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was not an angel by any means. I was
I find that easy to believe.
Yeah. My parents would have said I'm hell on wheels for sure. And, I pass it along. My kids are definitely the same way. So it's just like your parents always say, like, hey, your kids are going to be worse than you were. It's true. That's true. I believe that 100%.
What was some of the crazy stuff you did as a kid?
Oh, I don't know. Crazy stuff. I was getting in trouble at school. I was, especially in high school, I was constantly getting kicked out of school. Not my proudest moments, but I was definitely not the kid that listened. So I was always getting suspended for something. And then I'd come home, my dad would whoop my ass.
You backtalk to people?
Yeah.
No, that's crazy.
I know. You would have never known that, huh?
So you were just shit talking. You weren't really like.
Yeah, I was a younger version
fighting.
of what I am now.
You weren't like getting into fights or anything. You were just
a few times, but most of my suspensions were not listening. Teachers like, hey, why aren't you in class? And I'd just take off running. Catch me if you can.
I've seen you run. You're pretty dang quick.
I was even faster when I was younger. I'm not fast anymore. I'm out of shape.
Yeah. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you were growing up? Was it always in the military?
No.
Because I know you went. Yeah.
I never wanted to be in the military. When I was younger, I guess, so my whole dream when I was younger was to be a cop. I saw him on TV and stuff, and I was like, hey, I could do that. Like, that looks cool and stuff, being able to wear the badge and do something with my life. And I think my mom wanted me more like my dad, go into the medical field. I feel like she always wanted something bigger for me. So, but I was an angry young teenager. So it was just like, when it became time, when I was in my late teens, I wanted to get away from Coeur d'Alene. I wanted to get away from the rules. I wanted to go do my own thing. And the Army, I had one of two options I saw at that time. It was either go to school, go to the Army. I couldn't see myself doing any more school, so I was like, military it is. So I went around. The Army is what gave me what I wanted. I originally wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force, and after talking to Air Force recruiters, I wasn't going to get what I wanted. They're like, yeah, well, you can become an Air Force pilot, but you're looking at like years of training. And I was like, no, I'm not about that. I'm not about going back to school. So went over to the Army. Army's like, hey, you can get whatever you want. Okay. Took my ASVAB, got good scores. I don't know how, but got everything I wanted. And my choices were pretty much the best thing I looked into was aviation, mechanics, stuff like that. So I came in the aviation world, became a mechanic on helicopters. My military trip was kind of short-lived. I had planned on staying in the military. Once I got in, I had planned on staying in. I wanted to do the full 20, and it just didn't work out that way. Kids
Did you have
came
family
along.
growing up that was in the military and stuff, or was it just you were just the first one?
It was so on my dad's side. Yeah, my dad's stepfather was in the military, who I'm named after, and he was the only one really that was in the military. On my dad's side, he had his brother and some of my uncle's kids, but other than that, no. I was kind of.
What'd your parents think about you going to go military instead of going to college?
I think my dad was all for it. My mom, she was kind of hesitant. You see everything on the TV, and of course, when I joined, we were completely like balls deep in the war right now. So she didn't want to see her son die on TV. So she wasn't all about that life. Again, I was an angry young teenager, so I was like, "Hey, this is cool. Let me go in and shoot somebody." It wasn't all what my life turned out to be. And like I said, my military life was kind of short-lived, even though I planned on doing the full 20. And I wish still to this day, like I look back and I wish I would have. But kids came along, wife came along, now ex-wife, and just turned my military life upside down. So.
What was your first time going? Not the first time, but what was your experience going to basic? Like, was that your first kind of people yelling in your face, kind of militant kind of experience?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely not what I expected. I still remember to this day, I was on the phone with my girlfriend at the time, and we're on this bus, and I had flown from Coeur d'Alene, I went from Coeur d'Alene to Spokane, and then I got on a plane, stayed at a hotel that night, got on a plane from Spokane, flew into Atlanta, and we took a bus from Atlanta to base, and we were sitting on this bus. And again, all a bunch of young kids my age, a lot of them were cocky, like, "Hey, nobody's going to be yelling at me, this, that, and the third." And I'm just like, dude, I don't even know what to expect. But I'd seen stuff on TV, and I was like, maybe it won't be like that, I was on the phone, and we pulled up, and I was like, "Oh, I think we're here." And the door's open, and this dude, this like 5 foot tall, this little black dude comes on the bus. He's one of the drill sergeants, and he starts yelling. He's like, "What are you guys doing on my bus?" And I was like, "Man, who's this guy yelling at?" And I was like, "Hey, this guy's like yelling at me." And he's like, "Put the phones down and get off my fucking bus." And I was like, "Oh man, what did I get myself into?" And I get off this bus, and again, it's like 1:00 in the morning that we got there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're all tired, and I was on the phone. There's people sleeping. They're like getting up, and this guy's grabbing bags and just throwing them off the bus. And we're just like, "Oh, there goes my bag."
Yard sale.
Yeah. So I get off the bus, and I'm like, "Man, I hope my stuff is marked properly." Like, all this stuff's going through my mind. And I just see bags and stuff just flying out underneath the bus. And here comes these more drill sergeants. And I swear the women were the scariest drill sergeants out there. Like, you could handle the men, but them women, you're just like, "Man, I've never had a lady yell at me like this." It's like my mom, but scarier. And basic was a lot of fun, though. When I got done with basic, like, I was really proud of myself, and seeing my parents, and my mom was emotional. Like, I don't know if she expected me to make it through. Like, again, being the mouthy kid that I was, I honestly was hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through here. I'm going to just get my ass whooped or something. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure what to expect, but no, it turned out good. And
what was the roughest part of basic for you? Like that initial shock, but then after that, what is it, like 9 weeks, 10 weeks, something like that?
Mine at the time was 8 weeks.
8 weeks, okay.
Yeah. I think it's longer now, but it was 8 weeks. It was an intense 8 weeks, but
I don't really know too much about basic. What all do they do? It's a lot of physical stuff to get you in shape, and that is any bookwork stuff, or is it all just pretty much field stuff?
No, most of it's field. For the most part, it's field stuff, and it's what they do is they break you down to build you back up. So the first beginning weeks is nothing but just doing push-ups, getting yelled at, and they just break you down to like you got nothing left, and then they build you back up, and you go through everything. Like, I learned all about different weapon systems, and I grew up around guns, but totally different setup when you join the military. Like, the different firearms that you work with. I mean, you deal with grenade ranges, so you throw grenades, the rocket ranges where you're shooting AT-4s and stuff like that, mock AT-4s. They had claymores where you clack off a claymore to see what a claymore looks like on a different little targets, just to see what happens. So a lot of weapon stuff is the biggest thing. Learning weapons, learning different self-defense techniques, using like a bayonet, how to strike someone with a bayonet. Obviously, we don't use bayonets nowadays, but if you ever had to. A lot of the stuff is like old school stuff, like different types of training. It's the same stuff that they did back in the day for, Vietnam and all that kind of stuff. Same kind of stuff. I mean, some of the weapons, some of the gear we had was super old school. Like I had old school BDU camo when I went through basic, and yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I would say the hardest time that I had was trying to stay awake during the 72 hour. You had a 72 hour ruck march that we went and did. So you're rucking to all these different stations through a 72 hour period, and you're going into like you get into shootouts and stuff like that with your blanks and stuff in your rifle, and you're wearing Molly gear. It's high-tech laser tag. So every time you discharge your weapon, you're shooting a blank round, and you hear the pop, but it's shooting a laser out the front of it as well. And I would say that was the hardest part for me, was the 72 hour, and that was the last thing you did before graduation.
Is that the one where you see videos of people like sleeping and people go and take their gun?
Oh yeah.
Is that?
I woke up. So our motto was always forward, drill sergeant. So everything was always forward, drill sergeant. Every time we talked, and drill sergeant had this always forward stick. And it was this long stick, and he always had a grenade, CS grenade, chemical grenade taped to the end of it. And he just always walk around with it. He's like, one day you guys are gonna get this. And during the 72 hour ops, I'd fallen asleep, and I woke up and like my eyes were burning. I was like, man, what's going on? I'm like burning my eyes and stuff. And I'm grabbing my face, and I start hacking and coughing. I was like, what is going on? I finally get my eyes open, and I just see this cloud just going around us. It looks like a funnel cloud just going around us. And then I realized he had popped the grenade on the stick, and everybody's in the center of the cloud trying to grab our weapons. Like stuff was just tossed everywhere in the middle. It's like a yard sale. Everything was just tossed in the middle, and it was just like, great. Now I don't know where my weapon is. We all knew our serial numbers and stuff. I don't remember it now, but so I'm trying to grab my stuff, but I couldn't see much because my eyes are burning from the CS grenade going off. And yeah, that was
what a way to wake
up.
Gosh.
I woke up some weird times in basic training because you're in just these giant bays, open bay dorms that you're sleeping in. You got like, I don't know, 100 dudes in this bay. You're on bunk beds and
like West Wing.
Yeah. It's literally like West Wing, just without sex offenders. And wake up to pounding on those old school garbage can lids, and sometimes they'd go in there and shoot off a bunch of blanks in there, start screaming and stuff. You're always getting woke up different ways.
Was there a pretty good dropout percentage? Do people drop out during basic, or are they just kind of?
No, I can only speak for my group, but not for my group. We had one guy that got arrested. We did have a lot of fights in basic. So a lot of alpha males got a lot of tension built up, and they'd get in fist fights in the bathrooms inside of our bunk rooms. And so we had one guy that was arrested for that. He actually came in, and he was on a program where you either went to jail or you joined the military. And it didn't work out so well for him.
So he got both options.
Yeah. Went to basic and then got arrested. I remember that day clearly. And no, like, I don't know.
So when you're going through training and all that, I mean, I've never done it, but I did the CERT Academy. That's only 10 days, but they said it's kind of like that. But it's kind of cool where
same thing, just longer.
Yeah. How long were the smoke sessions when you would get smoked by the DIs?
It depends. It depends on how bad we screwed up. I don't miss those because in the time I went in August, and so it's the
in
heat.
Georgia.
Yeah, so it's the heat of the summer, and there's red ants,
And the humidity.
fire ants everywhere. And they would bite you, like, and you'd be like, hey, drill sergeant, like, there's an anthill, and he's like, become friends with them. What? I'm just like, I remember when we first got there, when the first time we got smoked, and one of the guys is like, hey, drill sergeant, there's an ant farm here, and he's like, make friends with them. And I was sitting there in my mind, I'm going, what does this dude mean? Like, he doesn't want me to put my hands down here, right? And I didn't know, I mean, I didn't grow up around red ants, so I didn't know what those things were like. I was like, whatever. So put your hands down there, and they start biting you. You're like, drill sergeant, these things are biting you. He's like, I guess you didn't make friends with them then. I don't know what that means. That sucked, but I learned to just get used to that. You just try to find, hopefully when you get smoked, you find a spot without ants all over the place, but red ants everywhere.
On the grenade range, did you guys ever have that classic, like from comedy skits, they pull the pin and pull the grenade and throw the pin kind of thing?
No, that was like a time that it was 100% like you respect where you were at. Like with live grenades, it's not like the TV where it's a giant fireball. It's just a big poof of dirt and smoke. But you know that death is on the other side of that. Like if you screw up, you're probably going to die on that range. And while we were there, another group from a girl from another company, I don't know who she was, never met them, never saw the other company. She got her arm blown off.
Oh my gosh.
With a grenade. So she had pulled the pin, popped the spoon on the grenade, and the drill sergeants are taught like, hey, if you don't throw that grenade, like they just throw you on top of it and use your body in a vest. That's how they do it. Like they got to protect themselves. So, and everybody else that's at the range. So yeah, she wound up getting her arm blown off. I don't know if she survived or what.
Oh my gosh.
We had heard about it because they shut down the grenade range for a few days. So we were delayed going to the grenade range, and they tell you like you go through these inert grenades. They just have like a firecracker in them. So you throw it, and every time you throw it, you immediately duck down. And if you don't duck down, like everybody wants to sit there and watch. Like, hey, what does this look like? And the drill sergeants will grab you and throw you to the ground. And I mean, it's one of those things you got to take serious. So they tell you 100 different times, like, hey, you hold the grenade, hold it as tight as possible, and you don't let go of that thing until it's time to throw it. And you have proper stance. So you go like this and then launch it over your shoulder. So for our group, we didn't have any incidents like that. But like I said, it was serious.
Did you guys do the CS room?
The worst part of basic training. The absolute worst part. I don't care who you are. That sucks. And the worst part is going in there and you got a drill sergeant, like you don't think it's going to be that bad because you hear how bad it is. But then you go in there and the drill sergeant doesn't have a mask or anything. He's huffing this stuff like it's like he's Cheech and Chong at a party. And you're like, what's this guy doing? And you're like, okay, maybe it's not that bad. Then he said, pull off your mask. You pull off your mask. You're like, how is this guy even breathing? You're just dying. And yeah, that was a wake up call. That was hell.
What did they make you do? They make you recite something, and then
you did the Soldier's Creed. Well, what you could of the Soldier's Creed, like. I mean, I made it through. I am an American, and then just started dying. So, and I was an asthmatic too. I got in the military, but I was a sports-induced asthmatic at the time. So when I inhaled that stuff, it just hit my lungs, and I was just dying. I mean, I was an American, and I just started screaming, and he just grabbed me and threw me out the door. And I was like, oh, thank God this is over.
I was told the worst thing you can do is try and hold your breath, because then you're just going to take a big breath in, and that's just going to...
Yep, they say when you're actually done with that, they teach you different techniques later on, and you learn different techniques. And it's just like with OC at the prison. Take short, shallow breaths. Mm-hmm. You can't you don't want to inhale big because you get all that stuff in your lungs and then it's over. Then you're down for the count. Take small, shallow breaths.
Yeah, I was trying to use my teeth as a filter. I was like, when they did it for us. I mean, it was.
So you guys did CS with.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as your guys' because you're in a room, but they just line us all up for like mob and crowd.
Oh yeah.
And then so you have someone with the shield, someone with the sticks, and then shields will like go down to a knee, and then they'll pop like probably 8 CS grenades and threw them at our feet, you're on the range, so like you are getting wind and stuff, so it's not as terrible as in a room. But it was, and then you're just like trying, and I was the first one on the ground, so I had to wait for them to be able to go back, don their masks and everything, and then they tap you and you switch out, right? But it sucked. But it is nice, like like as soon as you're out of it, it's good. So that's the nice part. But it's man, I don't know. People say it's better than OC, which it clears out of your lungs quicker, but it sucks.
Yeah, it it's
more psychological than anything.
Oh, absolutely, and it's one of those things I look at being through both that and OC, and I would CS because it's done so quickly, but I think it hurts worse. CS hurts your body worse than the OC does.
And it's bad if you're sweating too, because then it sticks to those sweat particles and it burns your skin.
Yeah.
Damn. So you get out of basic and then you have additional advanced training, right? Is what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So originally I went in advanced AIT training, and it was just AIT is like a softer version of basic training. So you still have the fundamentals that you go through basic. You know, you guys are always in lines, always in formations, always marching, PT tests all the time, and monthly PT tests. And it's basically you spend most of your time at the schoolhouse. It's a little bit less intense than basic. So like you have chances to go off post, kind of do your own thing depending on how good you do on your PT tests and different qualifications that you do. But yeah, most of your time is spent at the schoolhouse, just learning what your job is. It's advanced individual training. So it's just like that. It's like you're in school again, just focusing on one subject.
So you're going and working on helicopters then while you're in your training?
Yep.
Were you on one specific helicopter? I know they have different types. But...
Yeah. At the time, just on H-64s, so Apaches. So strictly doing all the maintenance stuff on that.
Those are cool. Those are cool birds.
Yeah.
Is it your fate? Your helmet matches up to the gun.
Yeah.
Syncs up.
Yeah. And you learn about all that stuff, and so.
That's crazy. What was your role? Just the engine?
No, I did everything.
Oh, really?
Yep. You are trained on every part of that aircraft. You have different, so like you had I was 15 Romeo, so you worked on the airframe and everything. Then you had 15 Yankees, and they did all the the electrical stuff. So even though I did work on some electrical stuff, they did like the electrical systems. But other than that, like I changed out boxes and all that stuff. You guys work hand in hand. But they do a lot more stuff with wiring, whereas I did everything on the airframe. You know, blades, engines, rotors, the internal systems, stuff like that.
Had you ever been inside of a helicopter, even on a helicopter flight before you had gone to the military?
Yeah. I had been on one helicopter ride. We were on vacation actually, and we did a helicopter tour. I don't remember what it was, but a helicopter tour of some sort. I think it was in like Hawaii or something, and went and saw one of the islands on a helicopter. But other than that, I mean, I had no experience with helicopters.
Is that kind of what lit your fire for the helicopters?
Well, you know, I tried to join as infantry.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. After I couldn't get as a pilot on planes, I tried to join as infantry, but I was 17 at the time. Mom's like, my son's not going to come home in a body bag. I'm like, Mom, you can die getting out of bed. She's like, yeah, but I'm not going to increase your chances. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So then she's like, pick something else. And then she was smart because she said, you know, pick something that is going to help you when you get out. So I was like, okay. And we looked at mechanics. Like I was always mechanically inclined. Like, okay, I can do that. Working on helicopters, and the guy's like, pick which one you wanted. And I ended up on Apaches. And so, yeah.
What's some things about Apaches that people don't know? I know there's like, they say something about Apaches that you can't recreate it. Like somebody just couldn't recreate. There's so many pieces like just crammed into spots.
Well, yeah. And the Apache platform is redundancy. So they're made so that Apaches don't usually get shot out of the sky. They're pretty hard. They're like an A-10, the helicopter version of an A-10. Like you shoot one engine, the other engine is fine to take the whole helicopter. If you take out one of the radios, there's a radio on the other side that is still working. So everything has redundancies. All the black boxes that are in the helicopter, there's those same black boxes on another side or somewhere else on the aircraft. So you take out one, you got the other one. So it's meant to be a attack helicopter. It's made to not be able to be taken out, but
that's pretty sweet. What was your favorite part about working on those things? Did you ever get to go fly in them?
No, not in Apaches. In Blackhawks, yeah.
Oh.
But not in Apaches because they're only a 2-seater.
Oh, okay.
I'd heard stories about certain people being able to go on a flight with those. That wasn't us. We weren't able to do that.
So those are just like the fighter pilots. It's kind of like a fighter helicopter. It's not a carrying.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Only 2-seaters. You got the pilot and co-pilot. Favorite part? I don't know if I had a favorite part. I just liked working on them. I mean, met a lot of cool guys in there.
Yeah.
We had a good group of guys in my unit. So, but I don't know if I had a favorite part.
What's the ammunition capacity of a Apache?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here, man.
It's like, so it's got a gun. Is there missiles too?
You've got the 30 mic on there, and depending, it all depends on how it was set up. So you see them with like 2 rocket pods and 2 missile racks on there. So each missile rack holds 4 missiles. So you can carry, and again, it depended. It was like where I was at in Colorado, we never had them full up because we were at 6,000 feet in the air. So trying to get them off the ground with that much stuff on there was like near impossible.
Was that where your school was at, or was that where you were based at?
That's where I was based.
Oh, okay.
Colorado Springs. Well, my first station was South Korea. We'll get into that later. But no, when you look at them, I know you see like pictures of them. They've got like all the missiles and stuff on there.
Yeah.
That's not how they would flow. Like even when we were in Afghanistan and stuff, like where we were at, same thing. We were at like 6,000 feet. We only had 1 rocket pod, 1 missile rack. And then you had the 30 mic. Their main weapon's the 30 mic. That thing just shoots mini grenades. Yeah. I mean, when they hit the ground, they blow up just like a grenade. And then you had
like incendiary tips on them, right?
Yeah. High explosive tips. Okay. And then, but they're armor piercing as well, so they're meant to shoot at tanks and stuff like that. Then you had your 2.75 inch folding fin rockets. That's your rocket pods, and those hold, if I remember right, it was like 16 rockets to a pod. And those have different things. So you have like Willie Pete's are white phosphorus. You had flechette rounds, high explosive rounds, and smoke rounds were the main ones that they had for those. And then you had your Hellfire missiles. And your Hellfire missiles came in tons of different variants for blowing up all sorts of different stuff, air burst. So,
dang.
Yeah. But typically we flew with four missiles and a pod of 16 rockets. And then you had, hundreds of rounds of 30 mic, depending on if we had the extra ammunition storage in the belly of the aircraft.
That's sweet. So, how long were you stationed at Colorado Springs before you got on your first deployment?
Oh, so I started out in South Korea was my first duty station. I went from AIT, and you sitting in AIT, and everybody's like, hey, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? And I ended up in what they called ROK, Republic of Korea, and shipped out there. Never been over that area. And that was a totally different world from the U.S. to South Korea, especially being a young kid. I turned 18 in basic, and I was probably 18 or 19 when I went to my first duty station.
They send you over in a C-130?
No, you fly over there on civilian aircraft.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. When you first go to your first duty station, believe it or not, a lot of people talk about especially being aviation, that you take planes and stuff everywhere. It's not like that. A lot of that stuff is civilian aircraft still. So I get over to South Korea and I land, and I didn't know a lick of that English or that language. So you land there and trying to figure out your way. Like you're trying to meet up with everybody. Like, hey, where do I go to meet up to get to my duty station? And nobody's speaking English there. Like, again, totally different world. You're just trying to find someone like, hey, someone speaks a little bit of English that can guide me. And eventually I found some like guys that I was like, oh, hey, those guys don't look Asian. Follow those guys. Yeah. They went to the right spot, thank God, because I had no clue where I was going. And take these bus rides, and from Incheon International, the bus ride I took, I was stationed down in Wanju, but you go to Camp Stanley first for in processing and to get all your shots and stuff. And like a 1 hour bus ride, and you get there and do your in processing stuff. And so I was stationed in South Korea for about a year and a half. Then I came, we transferred. We were the first battalion to transfer out of 2nd Infantry Division from South Korea, where everybody was stationed for 2nd Infantry Division, to Colorado Springs. So we arrive on Fort Carson about a year and a half later, take over Fort Carson. They have Butts Army Airfield out there, and we took over Butts Army Airfield.
What'd you guys do in South Korea for a year and a half? There's got to be
just training.
Did you guys get to go off base or anything?
Oh yeah, I partied a lot. 18 years old, and obviously I wasn't 21. They don't care.
Doesn't matter over there.
Hell no. And party a lot. My liver hated me while I was over there. It was just, I was drunk all the time. Anytime I went off base, I was hammered. Anytime. The bars were cheap. You'd spend like $15 to get into this club. It was Club I. We'd go in there, and you spend $15 to get in there. It was all you could drink beer. It wasn't the best beer, but it'll get you drunk.
Yeah.
You just sit there and just pounding beer all night long. And yeah. So yeah, my liver hated me. We were just constantly at bars. And again, we weren't supposed to. They said, if you're not 21, you shouldn't be drinking. Yeah, okay. The bars don't care, neither do I.
Is that a command? No. Okay. Should it be? This should it be is different than do not.
Yeah, absolutely. And you catch like the captains and stuff off post doing stuff they shouldn't have. So you kind of like, hey, you turn me and I'm turning you in kind of thing. Like you guys come to an understanding, like leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. And our command was pretty cool. They were pretty much like, don't do something that ends you up on the news. Because guys would end up on the news there. And last thing you want to do is be getting arrested by your partner forces there. So, but it happened all the time. There were stabbings. Actually, one of the guys I was with in my unit ordered pizza, and they stole the guy's pizza car and drove around town in his pizza car that they had stolen. So they never got caught. They never got in trouble, but they'd stole it right off base and went driving around and picked up buddies and stuff. And so crazy stuff happens over there on the other side of the pond.
Did you ever have any crazy stories besides just getting drunk?
No, I was really hesitant about getting in like massive trouble. Like I did stuff I wasn't supposed to, like mainly drinking and stuff, but it was like I wasn't brazen enough to go steal somebody's vehicle and stuff. I mean, we did get in trouble one time. We were on top of, so we went downtown and we went and got this place it was called Kaira Chung Chicken. We called it crack chicken. These little chicken wings that were super good. And we'd get Kaira Chung chicken, and then we'd go right next door. We'd go to Baskin Robbins. Well, if you got Baskin Robbins to go, they'd fill the bag full of dry ice. I mean, a young kid and you giving me dry ice, dumb idea. So then we'd get beer bottles, and we'd go and drink beer, and we'd go up on the roof. We'd climb up onto the roof of the Baskin Robbins. We'd just stuff dry ice into this thing, cover the holes, and throw them, and they bust glass all over the place. So we'd throw those out in the middle of the road, and here's cars driving by, and poof, try to see if we can like throw it and have it erupt right over the top of the cars. And we got yelled at one time for that. Some guy came out and he's like looking up at the roof and yelling at us. We're like, shit, we got to run. But other than that, no, I spent a lot of time over there snowboarding.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. They didn't have, it's not mountains like they do over here. So a lot of it is like it's really, really icy over there. So.
Oh, like crunchy snow.
Oh, yeah. It's because a lot of it's man-made.
Oh, okay.
So, but it was super icy over there. So I learned how to snowboard I knew how to snowboard before, but learning how to snowboard, that was on ice. And that was difficult snowboarding in their kind of area. I had a buddy.
Like night boarding at Bogus.
Yeah. So, and then of course, I came to Colorado Springs, and you got the best snow ever up in Colorado. I mean, the places I went to, I'd love to go back to Colorado any day just to go snowboarding. They had good snow over there.
That's awesome, man. So you were there for a year and a half. You go back to Colorado Springs, and then you said that you got deployed again.
Yeah. So, well, I spent a lot of time just in Colorado in the Springs, years on end before we deployed. Went over to Iraq.
You lived in, okay.
Yeah, went over to, I mean, I saw different places: Iraq, Afghanistan, Qatar, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Manis, Kazakhstan, over near Russia.
You seen
I think is where that's at.
Huh? You seen Borat?
That'd be cool. I didn't get to see anybody cool over there. But yeah.
Dang. When do you have your kids in this whole thing?
Oh, in between. Let's see. Man, you put me on the spot. You're trying to remember all this stuff. I can't remember. Let's see. Braden was born in.
But you were still in the military when you had kids?
Yeah. I was in the military when I had kids, both of them. My two oldest kids. And then, obviously, when I got home from Afghanistan, my now ex-wife, my wife at the time, was like, "Hey, I can't do any more deployments. I can't do this. Like being a single mom, raising two young kids. My son was 2 at the time. My daughter was 1. Didn't even know who I was, and it was frustrating. When I got home from Afghanistan, she was like, I go to pick up my daughter, and she was like crying, like didn't know who this guy was that's holding her, and that kind of got to me a little bit. And then when my wife at the time said, "Hey, I can't do deployments anymore," I was like, "Okay." She's like, "It's either me or the military," and I was like, "Well, I was raised as a family man, so it's like, well, I'm coming. It's the kids. It's 100% the kids." So right when I got home, I put in to get out, and got out. She left me anyways. She said I had a drinking problem when I got back, and I wasn't the best husband. I will never sit there and say that I was the role model that I should have been. I wasn't. I'm in a better place now than I ever was back then, and got out, chased the kids, and that's when I met Bree. I moved down here to Boise. That's where me and my ex-wife had planned on living. She was leaving Spokane. I was leaving Coeur d'Alene. We were going to start over fresh. Didn't know anybody, just start over, and yeah.
How long were those deployments when you were in the Middle East rather than
12 months?
Oh, each one?
12 to 13 months.
So like 12 months in Kuwait, 12 months in.
But you got
skipped
around.
Oh, okay.
But like going to Kazakhstan, then Afghanistan, and then going from there, and then like you go home on leave and you go to Kuwait to get home, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Where was the best stop out of all of those that you had to hold over in? I don't know if you could call it holdover. You were probably there for
Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We went through Germany, and that was a short time. Like I was only there for a few hours.
Oh.
But yeah, I didn't get any of the cool spots. Like, I talked to guys that were that got stationed in Germany or stationed in Italy. The only place I got was South Korea, and I was only there for a year and a half. I would have liked to spend more time over in South Korea.
You want to go back?
Oh yeah, any day of the week, dude. That was the best seafood I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'd go down to the markets there. It's not like the seafood here. You go down to the market and the seafood is all live. So you just see the fish swimming in these tanks, and you just go up there and like, which one you want? Pick that one, and they'll fillet it right there for you and cut up sushi for you.
Oh, wow.
It's super fresh.
Is it cheap? Cheaper comparative to States, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to remember. It wasn't like
it's not like
cheap,
Thailand cheap, but
yeah, but it was definitely cheaper than the US, and yeah, the food was just so fresh over there, and I love Asian food, so it worked out perfect for me.
When you were in, did you ever want to go up to like any of the other like ranger school or sniper school or anything other, or did you always just want to be around the helicopters?
I did, but again, I was kind of, it was hard to get in schools. When I joined, schools were hard. I mean, I was in the time where there was a lot of people going in. I mean, it was huge to go into the military. Everybody wanted to fight for what happened 9/11. I mean, that's one of the first things that got me bringing into the military was seeing 9/11. Like, can't believe these guys did that to us. Like, so that was a big focal point in my life of making me go into the military. The thought of taking me there. And what were we on? What were we just talking about?
Oh, just if you want to go to like ranger schools
Oh,
or any of those other
yeah.
things.
So the schools I did definitely wanted to, but it was hard. Like I said, with everybody coming in, it was hard to get those schools. And you had to, if you wanted those schools, a lot of those was if you were going to re-enlist, you can put that in your contract of like, hey, I want to go to this school.
Mm.
They'd be like, okay, if you enlist for this many years, we'll put that in your contract that you get to go to this school.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't get a chance to re-enlist, so I didn't get that option.
How long did you do total in the military then?
8 years total.
Oh, okay.
Six
Is
and a
that
half
two contract?
active.
Is a 4-year contract, right? Is that how it goes?
It depends. So for my school, for aviation, you had to go in for a minimum of 6 years,
Oh,
just
okay.
because they spend so much sending you to the schools.
Yeah.
And I think it was different for like infantry and stuff like that. It was like 4 years. I know how, like guys that I went in with did 4 years active, 2 years National Guard. I did 6 years active, which turned out to be like 6.5 years active, 2 years inactive.
Dang. Did you ever get any like injuries or anything?
No, I was
lucky. That's good.
thankful enough that I didn't get any injuries.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some people that have had some pretty good injuries or later on in life, like their hearing's going out or something.
Oh yeah, I have that stuff. So like, most of my stuff is mental health wise. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So then you get out and then you moved to Boise, and that's where you met Bree.
Yeah, I moved to Boise, and a friend of mine that I grew up with in Coeur d'Alene, she was living down here at the time, and she had told me, I was like, I was new to the dating world at that. Like, I hadn't been dating so long, and most of my stuff, any girls I met, was just like a fling. Like, it wasn't going to go anywhere, and I was at the point of like, I was in a dark place when I first moved down here to Boise. I was in a real dark place. You know, I didn't have my kids. The only thing that I knew, just got out of the military. So I was so used to being in the military. They told you when to eat, sleep,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So
You're institutionalized.
100% institutionalized, 100%. And get down here, and it's like, you know, I haven't ever fended for myself. You know, my parents took care of me, and then I joined the military, and the military took care of me. So I get down here, and it's like, now you got to be a big kid. I got to find a job. And it's just like, I haven't had a job that I had to go look for in forever. So I'm trying to do all that. I'm trying to find a job. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to see my kids again. You know, my ex-wife at the time, she wasn't letting me see the kids. And I was like, man, it was a hard time. She wanted to try to get me to come back to her. So it was like, that was the only way I was going to see the kids. And so this girl that I knew from high school, Amanda, she's like, have you ever got on like dating apps? What the hell is a dating app? Like, oh, apps, that's where you find girls now. I was like, I thought you just go down to the bars. Like, that's how you meet girls. And tried to give the bar thing a go. Nah, it didn't work. You don't remember anything while you're drunk.
It's not all you can drink beer.
Yeah, it's all you drink. Yeah, that stuff gets pricey here in the U.S. So I went on one of these dating apps. I was on like 2 of them. One of them was Plenty of Fish, and I matched with like 2 different girls. One was, I don't remember her name, and then one was Bree. And I had written Bree, and I was like, oh, this is like, I think this is hopeless. And the day I was getting ready to delete the app, she wrote me back, and we started talking. She lived in Idaho Falls. I drove up one day to meet her in Idaho Falls. It was during the holiday months. Going to Idaho Falls, we meet for the first time, and she was originally supposed to be moving here to Boise to go to BSU. But the friend she was supposed to be moving with, their mom got cancer, so they couldn't move here anymore. So she was trying to figure out what she was going to do. And I was like, well, right now, my kids aren't here. I have an open room. Like, why don't you come move in with me? And I was like, I've already got all the bills paid. I just got a job. I just applied with the department with, what was it?
CCA?
Yeah, CCA. Corrections Corporation of America at the time.
And this was your first time meeting her, and you're like, yeah, if you want a room, you can have it, kind of thing?
Yeah. I was like, you know, you can move in here. Well, it wasn't the first time we met. Like, we had been talking for a few weeks.
Okay.
But yeah, the first time we met in person, and she was telling me the story about how she was supposed to go there. And I was like, well, I've got an open room. Like, I'm easygoing. She seemed chill. So I was like, yeah. And she packed up her stuff, moved moved in with me and never moved out, and the rest is history.
Yeah, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah. I went from friend to relationship and marriage.
Yeah. How long were you guys dating before you got married?
Oh, see, we got together 12,
Better
20,
get these dates right.
12, 20, 13, and we got married 10, 6, 14. And we got married pretty quick, a lot quicker than I intended to, but she met my kids for the first time, fell in love with my kids, my two younger ones, and or my two older kids, and we just worked it out. The only way I was going to get the kids is I had to have a stable environment, stable relationship. So we looked into getting a house, and the only way we could get a house is if we got married. So we got married, bought a house, and fought for the kids, and had full custody by the time they were 3 years old. Had full custody, and they were living with us full time down here. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So what was it that made you want to go and apply for a prison?
I didn't. Not in a million years. So I was applying for different jobs. I actually found the first job I found was I was super, super promising. I was going to be working for Firebird helicopters here, right at the airport. And I had contacted them, went in for an interview, got the job. I was like, perfect. This is going to be Firehawk helicopters is what it was. It was perfect. I was going to be working on helicopters, doing what I know. Well, at the time that I got the job, Obama was our president, and he had just sent the National Guard here. He was sending them to go deploy. So the way it works, obviously, if you're National Guard and you go to deploy, the company that you were working for has to keep your job. It's a legal thing. So they had all these guys that were working for Firehawk helicopters at the time, and they were getting ready to go deploy. So I got the job. The guy says, we'll worry about kind of how the job thing works when they get back. We'll figure it out. And I was like, okay, at least I'll have a job for a little bit. As soon as I got the job, Obama had canceled the deployment. So all those guys came that were supposed to deploy, got all their jobs back to Fire Helicopter. And he called me one day and he's like, hey, it's the way it works. You don't have a job anymore. I was like,
sucks to suck.
Yeah, it sucks to suck. I was like, I just got this job. So I went to the unemployment office because, again, I didn't know, searching for a job. I didn't know what I was doing. And this lady, she was the veterans coordinator there. And she's like, hey, actually, there's some places hiring right now. So I put in for some places and they just didn't fit what I was looking for. And then
what were you looking for at that point?
Aviation, something on helicopters and stuff. That's all I had known since I was younger. I mean, I had a few jobs when I was younger. I worked from 13 all the way to 17 up until like 2 days before I left for the military.
Yeah.
So I was always had a job. I was fine working. And so I was looking for aviation jobs, but one day she calls me in. I just got home from Coeur d'Alene, from seeing my family. And she says, hey, can you come in and check in with me? I was like, yeah. So I go in and check with her. There happened to be Corrections Corporation of America was right there. And she's like, hey, they're doing job interviews and jobs at the same time. I was like, corrections? What's corrections? She's like, working at a prison. I was like, oh, like being a cop. She's like, yeah. I was like,
kind of.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker. They got me in.
Yeah.
So I go to this interview and they're like, you're military. And I was looking like hell. I had just driven 8 hours from Coeur d'Alene down. I was tired. I was in like shorts and a t-shirt, and gave them my paperwork and stuff. And they're like, oh, hey, you were in the military. And I had a good head on my shoulders at that time. The only thing I had known was the military. And I mean, obviously my resume looked good because I'd been in the military for the last 6.5 years. You can't really screw that up.
Mm-hmm.
So they got me into corrections, and that was a different world. I had no clue what I was getting into.
They hire you on the spot pretty much?
Yeah, hired me on the spot as long as I was able to pass a drug test. Did my drug test like 2 days after, and I was in corrections.
So you show up your first day. What's that like? Because they were their own private thing, so they don't have a post that you have to go through or anything, right?
No, and it wasn't what I expected.
What'd you think going in that it was going to be like?
I don't know. I honestly, I didn't know. I guess I didn't know what to expect, but I'd seen cops and stuff on TV, so I was like, it's got to be like this, like working at the jail. And my first day, I go in, and for some reason, I don't know why, I was the only one that was dressed up. I always find that weird. Like I was in like a like a button-up shirt, and like I was looking good. And everybody else that showed up was like in t-shirts, shorts, and I was just like, people. And I was always taught, like, you go to a job interview, you're always dressed up. That was just something I was used to. So I was all dressed up, nobody else was, and I was like, what am I doing that everybody else isn't? I was so confused. And they do a tour around the prison, and you hear all the doors slamming shut and stuff. You're like, man, this is not what I was thinking this was about. But I was like, hey, they gave me a job. It pays decent for what I was doing. So I was like, I can do this. And remember my first day walking through the prison, and they walk into this unit, and this guy's like, fresh meat. I was like, fresh meat? What are you talking about? Who's this dude talking to me? And again, I was still a young kid, super mouthy. So I'm firing back at these guys, and they weren't having it. They were not impressed with my firing back skills. And first day was an eye opener. Like, just seeing, I'd never been into prison before, never been in like that scale of a place. Totally different world. Definitely not.
Where'd they put you out for your first post?
First post, I was in what they called the gang unit at the time. It was in North Wing. It was in JKL, which is now, I think, Echo.
Echo, yeah.
Yeah, Echo. So it was all gangbangers at the time. But I caught on quick. Again, before I went into my first unit, I was in training too. So we didn't have post, but it was like our own mini post at the prison. So we went through all the training, like the do's and don'ts, OC training, stuff like that. So we did the same thing that was in post, but it was not sanctioned by the state.
It's like your mini challenge academy or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like a challenge academy.
Right on. So you're in, and the thing, I guess you didn't know any different, but that prison, they keep a staff on each tier, where they didn't like on the state side.
Yes. Yeah.
So what was that like? Because you're on there, what, hours at a time?
16.
Until you get like a count time or something.
Yeah,
where it's
12
all
to
locked
16
up.
hours a day was our shifts. And yeah, it was a lot. You'd eat on the tier with the inmates. Like, you'd just be sitting at the table, just sitting there eating your lunch and using their microwaves. Sometimes I use their bathrooms. It just depends on what you had going on. Like, sometimes we'd have, depending on the tiers and stuff, they'd have a door left open for the inmates to use bathrooms, because we shut all the tier doors, so they couldn't just go in and out of their rooms all day long. Different than what Idaho did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was. I always wondered why they did it the way they did. Always just having one guy on a tier. I mean, it's me versus
64, 82.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. A large number of inmates. Like, they've got you way outnumbered, and even then, you had one guy on each tier and then one running pod control, and that's all you had. So if anybody was coming to you, they had to come off the tier onto the other tier just to help you out. But it was the inmates regulated themselves pretty well back then. I mean, the gangs ran the pods 100% for sure. I was not in charge of anything. It was the inmates for sure were in charge there. And you just had to understand. You had to get that in your mind, like, you're cool with them, they're going to be cool with you, and vice versa.
Was that hard for you? Still having to be a little bit hot-headed and stuff, like going in? Did you have to get a little bit of a culture shock and change?
A little bit, but at the same time, like, I knew that, like, I was a fish in a shark world right there. Like,
you were smart enough to know you're outnumbered.
Oh, 100% outnumbered. Yeah. And even though I was a little cocky, I just got out of the military, I was fit and in shape. But these dudes were, like, 3 times my size. So I also knew, like, I know when I should and shouldn't mouth off. Like, I know what I should and shouldn't do. So most of the time I was quiet when I first started, for the most part, in the unit that I was at. It wasn't like you were down the sex offender wing. You could just make fun of them all day. These were actual gangbangers. Most of these guys had committed murder or serious crime. So it's just like, hey, just keep my mouth shut. And they come up and talk to me. I'd come up I'd say some words to them and go about my business. For the most part, I was quiet in the unit.
Yeah, for the most part, you're just there in case something pops off, and then...
Yeah, I stuck to myself a lot. I didn't really talk to anybody unless they came up to me first.
Did you guys have computers or anything on the units, on the tiers?
No.
So you're... Oh, man.
No, you had nothing to do. Like, you couldn't have your phone out. You just sit there. Just sit there and watch.
Were you guys even able to have your phone back then?
I think
in
we were
CCA?
able to have our phones, but you couldn't have them out. Like you could
Oh,
have them
okay.
on your person. I think if I remember right, we had lockers and stuff to lock our stuff up in. But yeah, you for the most part, no, you weren't supposed to have your phones out on the tier or anything.
Because I remember when I started IDOC, they weren't allowed to have phones past the gates. So
And people still did.
yeah.
You know what happened, but yeah, it was the same kind of thing, same concept.
Did you get on any of the teams when you were with CCA, like sort or anything like that? Or?
No, I had looked into it obviously because again I was in shape and stuff, but the sort team at the time wasn't really looking for people,
Oh, okay.
and so I kind of just hung out. I didn't. There wasn't really. You had the sort team, and I don't think we had a fire team. I think we just had the sort team.
Right.
There, the sort team, and the what do they call it?
Like a crisis negotiation?
Yeah, the crisis negotiator team.
Okay.
But no, I never got on any of those teams.
So when you were working there, you said you worked there for a year and a half before the state took over, right? Is that what you said? Somewhere like that?
Yeah, like a year to 2 years.
What was the biggest things that you liked better about how CCA ran it than when the state took over?
I liked the fact that CCA was more security minded. CCA was all about security, and you could say what you want. Some people will argue that CCA ran it better or the state ran it better. A lot of things I could argue. CCA ran it better in the fact that they were more security minded. We had the gangs separated, and I know the state didn't want to do that because it gave the inmates power, and it did. They had strength in numbers, but the inmates are always going to have strength in numbers. When it comes to cop versus inmate, the inmates are always going to back each other. It doesn't matter if it's a sex offender versus this gang to another gang. The gangs, everybody's always going to have each other's back. That's the way it works. It's cops versus robbers. So, but at least with CCA, like they backed the officers more. Like it was definitely when the state took over, they were so lax on security that it was totally different. When we went in with CCA, you came in the morning, all your stuff went through a what do they call it? The
like a metal detector?
Yeah, you went through a metal detector.
Oh, they went through like an X-ray machine?
Yeah,
kinda?
all your stuff went through an X-ray machine. They checked all your stuff to make sure you weren't bringing anything in, which is the way it should be. I mean, you're working in a prison. What do you expect? We always had a drug dog there sniffing the officers. So all the officers that came through, there was a drug dog nearby, and he'd sniff you as you went through. So just stuff like that,
Yeah.
stuff that you didn't see with the state. The state was more relaxed, and I kind of like that because at the same time, like it shouldn't be that way, but you kind of respected that, like, hey, they trust you a little bit more. But at the same time, it shouldn't have been that way. Like
There should still be some kind of security.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What was the age requirement when you were at CCA? Was it 21? Or were they hiring 18-year-olds?
No. It was 21. You had to be 21 when you went there.
What do you think about that when they switched it to 18?
It was good and bad. Like I thought about it. I get why they did it because we needed more people. But at the same time, it was like when I looked at myself, like at 18, I was so immature. I think at 21, I was immature. So at 18, yeah, I was super immature. And I see some of the people that they hired at 18. I was just like, it surprised me. It caught me off guard. Like some of the guys they were hiring at 18, I'm like, I wouldn't trust this guy with a sharpened pencil. You're letting this guy come have my back with OC and all these adult males. And I saw the way they talked to these guys. And it was just like, when the state took over and they did do the hiring 18-year-olds, some of the guys that came in, you're just looking at them and the way they talk to these inmates, I'm just like, this dude's either going to get himself killed or he's going to get me beat up as a result of his mouth. And again, I kind of changed when I took over with the state. I was a little more mouthy when the state took over, I will say, because it was different from CCA there. When I was CCA, I was stuck on the tier, so I was super quiet. State took over, and you had more people there, and I don't know, things changed.
Was that part nice for you then when you actually got to come off the tiers? And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was nice. It was nice to be able to roam around and not just be stuck on the tier 100%. That was one thing that the state did way better than CCA. Being stuck on the tier sucked.
Do you think the fights went up more when you didn't have an officer always on the tier, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Both behind the scenes, like you'd have cell fights.
Like in a cell, yeah.
Yeah, because you'd go out there and walk, and this dude's got black eyes, and you're like, okay, well, obviously got beat up, even though he said he fell in the shower. But yeah, there was a lot of fights going on, and when the state first took over, it wasn't too bad, but then they decided to start mixing everybody in, and that's when fights were happening just right and left. Every day there was fights down there in the North Wing.
Dang.
Chow Hall, we mix sex offenders in. This guy gets beat up first day. First day he gets mixed in.
When it was CCI, was it pretty separated? I know they had the West Wing and everything, but like in the hall movements, they never cross paths.
Never cross paths.
Because I feel like there was still some times when I first started with IDOC that you would still have West Wing and North Wing sometimes cross paths, whether it was like, what would they call that, blood alley?
Yeah.
Right in between the rec and the...
Yep. And North Wing and the West Wing, always.
Yeah. And that's where they would like intersect or something sometimes.
Yeah, and that was, again, something that the state, that I don't know why, I guess I kind of understand why they did it. They want to integrate everybody, but you shouldn't do it. They had a plan. They'd been doing it a lot longer than I have. So I was like, I wasn't going to question it. I was just go along with it. And they knew what they were doing, even though I thought it was a bad idea. Others thought it was a bad idea. All the CCA guys thought it was a bad idea because that's not what we knew. We knew this way and our way worked. So why change it up? But they were trying to do things the way all the other prisons did it.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it.
What was your favorite unit that you worked while you were there?
Definitely, as far as like when I first started, I would say Echo Block. What was JKL? It's just because that's what I knew. I hated the sex offender units. I just open dorms and dealing with sex offenders was just like disgusting. Like
so
the whole units they weren't clean.
There's a big thing that people think when a sex offender goes to prison, they're going to get what they have coming to them.
It's not that way. They live in a happy ever after sex offender unit down there. They all live together. So it's not that way. You'd hope. Like, I'd just think about it. Like, if something happened to one of my kids, I'd hope that dude got what was coming to him, but it's not that way. At least not in Idaho. I mean, they say I've never been to any other state's correction systems, and from what I hear online, they're like, a lot of people say, "Oh, hey, this guy's going to prison as a sex offender. He's going to get beat up all day." No, it's not the way it works here in Idaho. They just live happily ever after with the rest of the sex offenders down separated. I think they should mix them all together.
Yeah, they asked me. I was on that other podcast, and they asked me why they don't, and I said I think it's just a resources issue because they would have murders every day. Like,
it should just be survival of the fittest.
Yeah, I mean that's how it should be, but that's what I was saying is I don't think that like we have a staffing issue already. And then you have murders all the time, and then we'd be shutting the place down. Now you got to do port-to-port feeding and all these other things. Like
port-to-port feeding sucked.
Logistical nightmare, and so I think it comes down to that more than anything. I mean, obviously, too, it's not our responsibility to punish them, right? That's what they always tell us, but like
you're not punishing them; the inmates are.
Yeah, but that idea that they're gonna get what they have coming to them is not the case. At least in Idaho, like you said, I don't know about the other states, but I've heard a lot of the other states are doing the PC stuff now too. Like they go to a different area if they know that that's what they are.
Yeah.
Unless the inmate specifically refuses protective custody, and then they're kind of like they have to sign stuff. I believe they have to. I could be wrong. Don't fact check me on this, but I believe there were some dropouts that like from gangs and they wanted to go back to GP, right? And it's like I'm pretty sure they had to sign something that said that they wanted to do that, like they're refusing protective custody. Yeah.
They wanted to be tough. Never ends well.
No. So what happened when you were in the prison and they had that YFS big fight that's on YouTube? Were you responding to that when that happened?
No. I don't even know if I was on shift that day. I'm trying to remember. That's so long ago. But I remember when it happened. I was pretty sure it was on my day off.
Okay.
I wasn't there for that. So
what was that all about? That was like a dropout. Wasn't it like a dropout gang or dropouts and they started their own gang or something?
Yeah. Youngsters fucking Society was what was YFS. I remember that. And Yeah, it was a bunch of has-beens, wannabes, and they were going to start their own gang, and the main gangs, AK's SVC said, no, you're not going to do this. And they said, want to bet? Okay. If you do it, or you're going to get what's coming to you. And they had guys hiding out on the tiers, and when they rolled the doors, they came out and handled business.
Yeah, what was it? They were in the trash cans and in the janitor closet?
Yep.
I remember watching that video. I'll see if I'll figure out a way. That'll be a good learning moment, how to click on videos and attach it to this one. But this one, that was an interesting...
And it surprised me. Like, when I was watching those videos, I'm like, in my mind, I'm going, how did the officers miss this? Like, but that's why there was holes and stuff drilled through the garbage cans and stuff, so you could see through them. And it's just like, but in my mind, I'm going, how did you guys not know this? Like, I still don't know.
So what we talked on the prison podcast about that 5-6 moment, was that the sketchiest moment you had while working in prison?
Yes. Well, I had one other sketchy moment that I'll never forget. I was working CCA. I almost got stabbed. So I was working, I just started with CCA. It was like my second week actually working, not in the so-called academy. It was just my own thing. And I was working down in medical. Well, I was working in Echo Block at the time, JKL. We had a mass. So what CCA did, we had mass lockdowns, and we'd go search all the cells, cell by cell. You'd have officers. You'd have our what are those guys that do all the paperwork and stuff?
Like admin?
Yeah. You had all the admin guys that worked out on the tiers and stuff with us. And so we were going cell by cell and searching. Well, one of the gangs, the white boys, had a bunch of meth, and they told this one guy to get rid of it. I don't even remember the inmate's name. And he consumes all this drugs. He tries to hide it, and the only way to hide it is he consumes it. He does what he's told. So this dude's super high on meth, and they take him down to medical. They were trying to get him to detox, and I went down there to watch him. So I'm sitting there in front of the medical doors, just watching this guy just tripping balls for like 3 days straight. Lieutenant calls me one day. He's like, hey, get someone, you got to get this guy fed. I was like, okay. So we didn't have bean slots on the doors at the time. So we had to open up the doors to get him food. And so I called up the lieutenant. I was like, hey, there's nobody to help me. Like, do you want me to roll this door by myself? And he's like, well, no, you have to have somebody else there. I'm like, so who do you want me to have come down there? He calls back and he's like, hey, the captain said, figure it out. Okay.
What does that mean?
Again, I was brand new. I was like, what does that mean? So you want me to have one of the nursing staff? He's like, no, you have to have another officer. I was like, there's no officers around. He's like, well, find somebody. I'm trying to find somebody, nothing. Finally, I called the captain. I was like, hey, I can't find anybody. He's like, have the lieutenant do it. And I was like, sir, I'm not going to call the lieutenant and tell him to do it. You got to call the lieutenant and tell him to do it. So lieutenant comes down, big old white boy, and he was all pissed off at me. He's like, I told you to handle it. You couldn't handle it. And I was like, man, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is my first time in medical, and I've been watching this guy this was like my second day. So this guy's still tripping balls. We tell him to go to the back of the cell. He goes to the back of the cell. I open up the door. This guy's got a sharpened toothbrush in one hand. And we had these like little prison pillows. They were like paper thin pillows. And he's got this thing like used as a shield. And he comes running at me yelling. And I see the weapon and I go to slam the door. So I slam the door and his arm's like in the door with the knife or his homemade poker sticking it through the door at me. And he was trying to stab me, but he was tripping. So like, I knew it wasn't like anything against me. This guy didn't have anything against me. I didn't hardly even know him. Again, I was new to the area. And the lieutenant, I remember we opened up the door. I didn't know what to do. The lieutenant said, open up the door. He picks this dude up with the weapon, gets the weapon out of his hand and just throws him. Like, the lieutenant was like 6'5". Like, he was a good 250 pounds. Like, he was a big boy. So he just picks this white boy up and just throws him back in the cell. And that was the first time that I realized, like, hey, this is real. Like, but other than that, yeah, the 5-6 was definitely the sketchiest moment working there. That's something that stuck with me and will forever. Like, I'll always remember that day as clearly as just walking out the door. Like, I remember everything I did that morning, that day, that night. Like, I'll never forget that day.
Yeah, you handled that like a champ. That was
luck. That was luck. I'm not gonna sit here and toot my own horn and say that was that was luck. That incident could have turned out way bad. Being stuck on that tier by myself, like, if any of those guys wanted to turn on me, there would have been nothing I could do.
Have you ever had anybody turn on you? You said you and Garcia, right?
Yeah, me and Garcia. I was attacked that one time, and that wasn't even aimed towards me. I just happened to be the dude that got attacked because this dude was pissed off.
That was that tier 5 upstairs?
Yep, tier 5. He was a soft walk guy. I don't even remember his name.
Yeah, it's fine.
Taller white boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went to go. He was put in there with a black cellmate, and he was pissed off about it. I don't know why, because the soft walks, you get put with who you get put.
Yeah.
He was trying to be cocky. I don't know if he was just trying to show off for the white boys. But we went up there, pulled him out of the cell. That was the end of my day, too. That pissed me off the most. Very end of my day. Like, I had like 30 minutes left on shift.
Someone said it's been a quiet day.
Yeah, must have been. Yeah, and Sergeant Miller said, "Hey, go move this guy." Okay, no problem. So we go to move him. It's like, "Hey, come out of the cell," and he was amped up. So I was like, "Hey, I'm going to put this dude in restraints." So Garcia was to my right. I was like, "Hey, man, put your hands up on the wall." He did. And as I went to go put him in restraints, he's still yelling at the dude in the cell. And he came off the wall. So I remember I pushed him back on the wall. And as soon as I pushed him on the wall, he turned and he swung at me, and I kind of ducked or backed up. He missed me, turned, and he hit Garcia clean right in the face. And next thing I know, I put my feet in front of him, slammed him up against the wall, and we took him and went down the wall, but he was still fighting. Get him on the ground, and I remember Garcia hitting him several times. He had turned over on us, and he was still swinging at us. He hit me once, hit Garcia a few times. Garcia hit him back a few more times. And I remember trying to call on my radio. My radio had detached, but I got a hold of it and I called. I was like, need assistance. And I remember one of the other officers, female officer that was with us, she comes climbing up the stairs to try to help us. And then you and Hasanovic came in, and Sergeant Miller came in. And yeah, that was a mess. And then one of the other officers got attacked that night. Another white boy. So It was something going on with the white boys. I don't remember the whole thing with that. But
when that happened, does everything just like that adrenaline kick in?
Oh yeah.
You're not feeling anything.
No, 100% didn't. I mean, I felt it afterwards. Like my shoulder had hurt. He hit me in the face. That didn't hurt too bad. Like it came to. I mean, I'd been in fights before, so.
Yeah, that was your only time though getting in an altercation or an assault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got anything like the 10 years. Knock on. I mean, I can't. It doesn't really matter if I knock on wood.
I'm not there anymore.
But I was surprised. I mean, my younger days, like you guys said, I was a mouthy little shit. So I'm surprised that.
There was a lot of people there that I was surprised that didn't get attacked that more than they did. You know, there were several officers that I saw got attacked once, and I was like, I'm surprised that lasted like that happened. That should have happened a long time before, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
How often did you see people in there that you knew?
Quite a few actually. There was a few in West Wing. Like 2 or 3 in West Wing that was in there for drugs. And then a couple of guys that were in the North Wing that I knew growing up, but wasn't as much as most. You know, most of the time when I saw officers that knew people, they were from the Boise, Nampa, Caldwell area.
Yeah,
I was from northern Idaho, and I only knew a few.
Yeah, makes sense.
I had cross paths with.
Yeah, it was always interesting when you seen him. I remember I worked with a guy in a call center, and I seen him like first day that I started working in there, and I knew that he was on meth, like when we were working in a call center and stuff. And sure enough, that's what he was in there for. But it was interesting whenever I seen someone, and then they would like always a double take, and they're like,
Yeah.
you never wanted to hear someone like call you by your first name, and there you're like, oh gosh.
Now I got to do paperwork.
Yeah, dude, my paperwork stack was thick. I had to write paperwork on like a lot of family members and just people I was working with, and
See, I got
people from high school. Like I knew a lot of people. I think that's something that may have helped me, was that I did grow up with a lot of people that ended up going to prison. So maybe I looked at them like, shit, that could have been me, you know?
I got lucky in that, like, the people that I knew were, I mean, there was only a couple that I knew that I had actually been friends with. And, you know, the first day I was there, we're like walking the tiers. We go down to West Wing. And I wasn't thinking, I was like, I don't know any sex offenders, so I'm not going to know anybody down here. Well, little did I know, it wasn't just sex offenders down there. A lot of drug addicts were down there. And one of the guys, I was like, when I first saw him, I was like, oh, hey, that actually makes sense. Like, I knew this guy was on drugs before, and, you know, it made a lot of sense. And then I remember getting on the computer, and they're like, they told me not to go looking. I went on there. I was like, guys that I knew that it was trouble. I go to look them up, and I was like, hey, I know this guy. And they're like, then when they first through, I looked up, and they're like, now I have to do paperwork on this. And I was like, paperwork for what? And then after that, I was like, okay, don't look anybody else up.
Yeah.
I'll see him as I go. And yeah, my paperwork sack wasn't that big. Luckily, I probably the whole time I was there, I would say less than 10. I would say probably like 5 or 6 people that I wound up knowing, and only 2 that I actually had been friends with at one point in time.
Yeah.
I mean,
did you ever learn anything from any of the inmates? Like for me, I learned, like I've seen a lot of people mess up their lives from drinking. So that was one of the things that made me like, oh, I've done some stupid shit while drinking. And I remember I stripped out this one dude. You could tell it was his first time ever getting stripped out, just all you know, embarrassed and stuff, and I have to tell him what to do. And he's like, sorry man, this is my first time being in trouble. I've never even had a speeding ticket before. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, what are you in here for? He's like, murder. I'm like, what? He's like, he said, I got blackout drunk. My roommate and I were drinking together. I woke up on a hospital bed, chained to the hospital bed, and the cops told me I murdered my roommate. And I was like, holy shit, dude. I mean, I've heard some other things too. People, you know, get like DUIs and then they hit a family or something,
Yeah.
right? And so, like for me, that's what I learned from other inmates, is like learning from their mistakes. And then I stopped drinking. So I just didn't know if, with all your experience, if you had ever taken any takeaways from.
oh,
things that you had-
absolutely. Not that I'm proud of this, but obviously I've had drinking related incidents before. I've obviously been under the influence and driven cars, and yeah, definitely working at the prison changed that for me. Seeing how many people got DUIs and ended up in prison, ruined their whole life. And I looked back and going, you know, I've had probably more than I should have at a bar and got in the car and driven home, not thinking anything about it. Like, I felt I could drive, so I got in the car and drove. And it wasn't until I worked at the prison and I saw that, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, you know, talking to inmates, and they're like, well, I just happened to be driving home one night and blew through a yellow light and slammed into somebody else's car and killed him. And you're just like, this guy doing something simple, just went out and hang out with some friends, had a few drinks, and, you know, actually a story on that. When I first joined CCA, I got arrested right. I just got done graduating the academy, and we went downtown to celebrate. Me and another buddy that I was working with went down to celebrate, and we had a DD. We had a designated driver. It was his girlfriend. And we went downtown and started drinking. And we kind of got into like a little scuffle at a bar over his girl. This guy made some comments. And I walked out of the bar and I'd stumbled. And an officer had told me, like, hey, come over here. Let's talk for a minute. I was like, no, I'm good. Put his arm on my shoulder, and I turned around and swung. Didn't even know who it was that I was swinging on. When I looked at my arrest report, I had .26 was my alcohol level. So I was a small guy, and I was way more drunk than I should have been. I swung and got my ass kicked by a bunch of officers. Woke up, and again, I didn't even know any of this. I woke up went out drinking at about 10 o'clock at night, woke up at 6 a.m. handcuffed to a gurney in the hospital. I woke up and I was like, what is this? Nurse comes in. She's like, hey, let me get the officer. Officer for what? And the guy comes in. I still remember the guy. I have his card in my wallet. I will never forget him. And he came in. He's like, hey, you know why you're handcuffed? I was like, no, what's going on? He's like, had a little bit too much drink last night. I was like, I haven't been drinking in a while. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. I was like, I must have been drugged or something. He's like, well, we did a toxicology report on you. He's like, we just haven't got it back yet. I was like, okay, where do we go from here? And he's like, well, he's like, you got assault on an officer.
Oh, jeez.
So he's like, it's felony assault on an officer and misdemeanor public intox. And I was like, oh no. Like, I just graduated the police academy. He's like, well, what were you thinking? I was like, I don't even know what's going on. So we talked for a couple hours, and because he was just sitting in there with me waiting to release me or doing whatever. He said that we were on the way to the police station when he arrested me, and I threw up, and he's like, I'm not dealing with this. So he just took me to the hospital to find out how drunk I was. And apparently I was way more drunk than I thought I was. And he, after a long talk, he actually said that he wasn't going to file paperwork on the assault on an officer. And I remember that.
Was he the officer that you swung on?
Yeah. Yeah, oh. He was one of them.
Okay.
So there was 5 officers. I swung on one. I got tackled by 5. I remember waking up and, like, when I finally got to go to the bathroom, I walked up and they'd put a catheter in. I was peeing blood. That was the first time I'd ever had a catheter. But I walk in and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I had road rash all over the side of my face, my arms, like they had whooped my ass. And I was like, hey, where's my buddy and stuff? Like, oh, well, we released him. He wasn't a part of it. I'm like, good looking out, bud. Good looking out. Me on 5, and you let me go by myself. All right, good looking out.
Yeah.
And finally, when he released me, he's like, hey, so we had this long talk, and he's like, hey, I'll drop the assault on an officer. He's like, you seem like a good guy. He's like, you just got out of the military. He's like, and I was like, I didn't mean to do what I did. And he's like, well, you didn't hit any of us. And I was like, well, that's a positive. He's like, if that would have, I couldn't do anything about it. But he's like, it's an assault. He's like, you didn't actually hit one of us. So he's like, I won't write the paperwork on that. But he's like, I have to hit you for something. So he's like, you are getting public intox. And again, misdemeanor and a felony. I was thankful I didn't have the felony, but I didn't know what that meant. I had never had any misdemeanors before. So I was like, man, I don't know what that means for me. So I went home and I slept it off. I slept for like 2 days straight. And it was the weekend. So then it's time to go back to work. And I was like, I don't know what this means. I don't even know if I can go back to work. So I go up to the prison, and nobody knew about this yet. So I went up and talked to the guy that was running it. And I was like, hey, so I think I got in trouble. He's like, well, what do you think? I was like, well, I did get in trouble. I got arrested. So they immediately go on to the Ada County arrest reports, and I wasn't on there. And they're like, well, you're not on there, so it's obviously not that big. I was like, well, they said I got too drunk, so they just took me to the hospital. And they're like, okay, so that's why they're not on there. Like, they gave me a phone number to call, and it was the prosecutor's office. So I called the prosecutors and find out if there's anything filed. And I called, and they're like, give me a minute. I don't see your name. And I was like, thankful. I was like, oh, cool. They didn't do paperwork. They called me back like an hour, like, yeah, we definitely had paperwork on you. You got arrested. And I was like, man, now what? So I went through the whole court proceedings. Luckily, the judge happened to be a vet too. And he told me, since it was his first time ever seeing me, he's like, if you promise me you never drink downtown again, he's like, I'm going to drop all this stuff. He's like, you're going to do non-court ordered community service, which I didn't get what that was, but it wound up just being community service on my own recognizance. He said, just go out, do 30 hours of community service. But at the time I was already volunteering at the old folks home, the veterans home at the veterans hospital. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'll just do 30 hours there. I'm already doing hours there. I was like, I'll do my 30 hours, get them signed off on it, and we'll call it good. So I got that done. The judge signed off on my paperwork, and they dropped all the charges. So you can still, like, if you look up online, you can still find me on there, the charges on there, but
The
it just,
repository.
yeah, repository, but it just says dismissed. So I got lucky. I got really lucky. It was my first time getting in trouble down here, and the judge, I mean, the officer was there, the same officer that had arrested me, he was there, the court proceedings, and afterwards he's like, dude, you got lucky. He's like, I don't want to see you downtown ever again either. I've been downtown since, but not really drinking. Like, I've had maybe 1 or 2 drinks, but for the most part, I kept my word. Like, I wasn't going down there doing anything stupid. And, since then I've had kids, I got custody of my kids and stuff. So obviously I have something to live for. Back then I didn't care about anything. I was so pissed off. I was so angry at the world, didn't have my kids or anything. So I didn't really care.
Yeah, that always stuck with me when like an inmate told us the only difference between you and me is you didn't get caught. And I'm like,
oh, dude, 110%. I look back on some of the stuff that I did as a youth and I was like, I could have been in prison with the rest of these guys. Again, drinking and driving, just because I had had a few more drinks than I should have. And, if you kill someone just regular driving and you're not drinking, it's one thing. As soon as you have a sip of alcohol and you, it changes the whole outlook on the law. It's like you're now a criminal just because you had a couple of drinks, even though I could have killed this dude sober.
yeah. Yeah, that was another thing too. When I got my CDL for driving the bus, all of a sudden I could get a DUI at like a .05.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they cut it down for CDLs.
Even if you weren't driving a CDL at the time?
Yeah. So even if I'm driving my own personal vehicle, it would be a .05 if you have a CDL.
.05, that could be,
A
to some
beer.
people, a beer.
Yeah, if you're like really short, it could be, yeah, exactly. So you wouldn't even feel it at .05. So you could legally like be perfectly fine to drive, feel like you're fine, but you blow a .05 and
You think that's right?
Well, I mean,
Now you look on it now that
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you look at like how much weight is behind a CDL, like they just have to cover that anyway, right? So whether you're on shift or not.
it's true, hitting somebody while driving a big vehicle like that.
Bro, yeah. Sheesh. I've seen some videos, nasty stuff, man. I always think like when we were on the road going to Coeur d'Alene and stuff, they have all those runaway ramps.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Talking about you go up through Lewiston?
Yeah, Lewiston,
Yeah,
Whitebird Grade, any of
Yep.
those, And I'm like, oh my gosh. I can only imagine the damage that would do if they didn't have like a runaway.
Oh, yeah.
Just you're done. You're toast, right?
Everybody in front of you. Anything you hit is just gone.
Yeah. Did you ever talk to any inmates where you thought they really weren't supposed to be in there? Like they said I didn't do what I was supposed to do, or like I didn't do what I was charged on,
Yeah, you kind of take that with a grain of salt, though, because, I can tell you any story I want
Yeah.
right now, and it's up to you whether you're going to believe it. So, I talked to several different inmates, and, when they told me their story, those guys that would say, like, hey, I'm innocent, I'd immediately go get up on the computer and check them. Like, hey, I want to hear what their story was. Some of them I'm just like, nah, you're guilty. And there was a couple of times, I don't remember the inmates, but there was a couple of times I looked and I was like, maybe they shouldn't be in here, or their crime doesn't fit that. Again, guys it's so hard for me to see guys in prison for DUIs. Guys serving the same sentence for DUIs as they did for touching kids. That really bothered me. Like, they had too many DUIs. Yeah, they probably got several misdemeanors before it became a felony. And then they probably got like more than one felony before they actually went to prison for it.
Yeah.
But it's just like when I look at a guy that's got 10 years for a DUI, and then you got a guy that's in there for sexually exploitation of a minor, and he's in there for 10 years too. You're just like,
Yeah.
There's something wrong with the judicial system here. And obviously the judicial system isn't perfect, but at the same time, like.
So I remember later on in your career, once you were getting closer to getting out, you got more into being like a mentor in a mentorship program, right?
Yes.
Do you think that there needs to be more mentorship type of stuff in prison?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. If we could change the way that the younger inmates coming in, because the problem is when they come into prison, you got one or two options. You either click up or you don't. As a white boy coming in, again, you like I said, one of those two options. You either click up as a white boy or you don't. But if you don't, you're kind of like hanging out by yourself. the gangs have a lot of pressure in there. So trying to, if they would spend more time on guys that weren't gang members, focusing on these kids coming in and going, hey, you know, you can do time without being clicked up. You can, you know, do your time, work on yourself, and maybe not commit those same mistakes. You know, I've had family members that have gotten into trouble, just made mistakes when they were younger. And I just looked at it. Maybe if I would have mentored them more when I was younger, or when as an adult when they were younger, that those kind of things wouldn't have happened. So you look at it and like maybe the same thing goes for the prison standpoint. If you have kids that come in, maybe if there was more mentoring, like the prison, obviously our prison system is not the best. But I mean, there's ways that we can improve. And I think, like you said, one of those ways is having mentorship programs to try to get these guys from not recommitting. I feel like the prison is that, you know, they toss them in there and they forget about them. And there's got to be better ways.
What was your roles when you were doing that?
I mean, I talked to a lot of young inmates coming in, and I had explained to several, like, hey, I could have been where you were at. I never tried to talk to the inmates like, oh, hey, you're just this piece of shit because you committed a crime. Like, again, I had been arrested downtown, and I almost got a felony. I mean, my life could have changed in seconds because I went down there and tried to have a good time. So my world could have been over just like that. So I could have been where those guys were at. And I'm thankful every day that those charges got dropped, and I changed my life as a result of that. And I just want, you know, being a mentor there was like trying to I always tried to talk to the younger guys because I wasn't an older officer. I was one of the younger ones. But trying to explain to those guys like, hey, you made a mistake. You can recover from this. Go through the programming like you're supposed to. Don't get in with the gangs. Don't get into fights. Just let everything slide off your back. Like, most of the fights that happened in there were so stupid, over stupid stuff. Like, just make sure you guys don't get involved in any of the politics and stuff. Owe debt to anybody and get out and, you know, change your life. Show the courts that, like, hey, I made a mistake, but I changed. This is not who I am. And, you know, try to explain that to them.
Was that rewarding for you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, again, just going back from the fact that I could have been there, it's rewarding to think that, like, maybe I got into, you talk to 10 different inmates. And if I just clicked through to one inmate and changed one inmate's mind, and as a result, one inmate got out of prison, didn't come back, 100% rewarding. I hate seeing people go to prison. Like, to ruin your life over, like you said, a DUI. Guy went out drinking. There were several inmates I had talked to. One that took the life of a young girl, was out there driving, wound up losing his arm. I know you know I'm talking about. He only had one arm as a result of a DUI, got into a wreck and killed a young girl. And he admitted to the whole thing. He was honest about it. And I know the daughter's mom forgave him. She came and did videos at the prison with him. And it's just like one of those, like he made a mistake. He knew he made a mistake, but as a result, he took a young girl's life. And you have to get over that. You either have to decide whether you're going to get in your mindset of like, hey, I screwed up and I can make myself better, or you're just going to go and keep making mistakes. And, you know, if you can get through to one inmate and change one inmate's life, it's definitely rewarding.
How do you get to those people before they go in? Before they make those mistakes? Is there something like in the education system that should have more awareness brought to, like, you know, assemblies? I remember when I was a kid, they had like the anti-bullying assemblies with the Rachel's Challenge thing.
Yeah,
like,
and
you think
they
need to have more like drunk drivers coming and talking
and
to
they
kids
do
and stuff?
like you could do more of that. I know when I was in the military, that was one thing we did in the military. So we had a lady that would travel around, and the one time that I got to do it, I think they should have done it more. But we had some guys in our unit get DUIs, and as a result, this lady came in, and she came in with this mangled car, this car that just been tore up, and it was her son's car. And her son's car still had the dog tags hanging from the mirror in there. And he was a soldier. She lost her son to drunk driving. Mm. And that really stuck with me. She came through and talked with, and obviously didn't stick to me enough because I still had drinking incidences. So clearly it didn't stick to me enough. I don't know why, but she came through and talked to everybody and was like, hey, this was my son's car. He was a soldier too. He got drunk one night and didn't come home. And yeah, I think if they did more of that, especially in the high school years, like talk to the kids, especially when they're getting their licenses, in high school, and said, one mistake can change your whole life. It won't click with everybody, but if you can get through at least one person, that's rewarding right there. If you can make sure one person doesn't get behind the wheel drinking,
yeah,
then you've won.
Yeah, you never know who they're going to pass that down to and what generations you'll affect just by that one person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Always just seeing the different walks of life that came into prison. I remember picking up people that as soon as they turned 18, we picked them up from counties.
Yeah.
And there was this one kid we picked up from, I think it was Lewiston County. We picked him up on his 18th birthday. He had, killed his dad or something. He was just waiting to get tried as an adult. And then as soon as he turned 18, starting his life sentence, I'm like, oh, man, And
I don't even know, what you say to those kids,
yeah.
Your life is over at that. I mean, some people say, well, their life isn't over. It is at that point. You got life behind bars. Your life is over.
At that point, you just need to become a mentor to other people coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Say, hey, these are the mistakes I made, and as a result, I'm in prison for the rest of my life. Don't be like me.
And that's the person that you need to be a mentor for other people coming in.
And that's something that they need to. Yeah, when those guys come in at that age, you need to work on those guys and be like, hey, we need you to tell your story to these guys and be like, you're only in here for DUI or for theft or burglary, but you could be in here like me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge, man.
So if there's drugs, there's such a huge drug problem here in the world. And I know I saw that at the prison too. A lot of guys in there for drugs, mainly meth and heroin, but those guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was talking, there was a guy, he's a big mentor of mine, and I've talked to him a lot, but he did 15 months in federal prison in Arizona, but now he's just a big mentor for inmates.
What was he in there for?
Fraud. He did it was hedge fund fraud or something, didn't it? Report taxes. So it wasn't anything crazy, but he still, it was illegal. But his big thing is a lot of times people aren't in prison for their real problem. They might have got arrested for drugs, but it's because, they might have an underlying issue somewhere else that they're coping with drugs, or they're selling drugs because they don't know how to handle money, or there's other things that the crime doesn't fit the punishment or whatever. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
So I know a lot of times when you saw guys in prison that were in there for robbery, theft, it was because they were high at the time, mm-hmm. and they were either trying to go get money to feed their habit, right. or they were just high and weren't thinking. And same thing with me. I was under the influence of alcohol and I did something stupid as a result of it. It's one of those things that it's hard for me to see those guys in prison too, because I've had a family member that had drug issues at one time, and it was just to see them go into trouble for something that you're they don't want to be addicted to drugs. It just happened that way. And now as a result, you could throw your whole life away. Same thing with drugs. And I think they should focus more. Idaho needs to focus more on drug addiction than just sending these guys to prison. I know it doesn't always work that way, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, kind of thing.
Yeah. They got to want it.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to help them on that path, though. You got to make them want it. That's another thing. I think they should take some of those drug addicts that were in our prison and make them mentors. Hey, this is what I did on drugs. Don't be like me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's big. So you got towards the end of your career, and then we don't have to go into how you left, because that was pretty abrupt.
Not my finest moments.
Yeah.
I wasn't. That's a story in itself, but I wasn't necessarily proud of the way that I left. But it happened the way it did. And
do you think it was time? Do you think your time in prison was done, though?
Yeah. I'd wanted to leave for years. Once the state took over and I started turning into a different person, I noticed myself, and I had mental health issues before coming from the military. I I don't want to just blame on the military, but it's kind of thing that comes with deployments and stuff like that, seeing some of the stuff that you did. And, you know, working at the prison obviously messes with your mind too. The stuff that you see there, and multiple people I seen beat up, one guy stabbed, all the stuff that you see and all the stories you hear, it weighs on your mind. Even though people say, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't bother me. You may think it doesn't bother you, but in your mind, it really does. It affects you. And I'm glad that I left when I did. It was definitely my time. Like I said, I wasn't happy about the way that I left. I could have handled things way better than I did, but it was my time to leave. And since I've left, I've worked on my mental health. I've become a better person.
Yeah, you seem a lot more calm since you left, for sure.
Oh yeah,
I can attest to that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Being able to work with my wife now, starting the business that we did, and I don't work near as much as I used to. Obviously, I'm on disability from the military and stuff too, but life has been a lot better for me.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And I think it's cool because you guys homeschool your kids too, so your kids spend more time with your kids. You guys do a lot of cool vacations together.
Yeah.
And now, like you said, you guys are doing a business, and you guys get to teach your kids about being entrepreneurial and not having to work for somebody else. And it's really cool. What was the point that you guys decided you wanted to homeschool your kids?
COVID.
Was it okay?
COVID really messed with everything. The biggest thing for us was when COVID started, it was like we never knew when our kids were going to school. So they turned it to like hybrid. But before they did hybrid, it was like, all right, kids are going to school one day. Well, now a kid in their class got sick, or a kid from another class got sick. So now everybody's out of school. Well, kids aren't getting education. I mean, they spent half their year not learning anything. So we were trying to do stuff at home. And while we were doing stuff at home, it came to a point of like, we're already teaching our kids. And we just teach them everything.
Yeah.
And we're not on a curriculum, like a hardcore curriculum where we're teaching them everything. So my kids are kind of like on a hybrid learning. They have teachers, but they're homeschooled. But anytime they need help, they can contact their teachers, and their teachers will help them through stuff. So I'm not actually the teacher, but at the same time I am. So I help them with school. Like we were doing an assignment yesterday, having the kids write a paper on our last vacation on a shipwreck that they went and snorkeled at, and they're doing a whole paper on the shipwreck and during a World War II shipwreck and how it happened and how it became a snorkeling destination and stuff like that. So we get to teach our kids. Same thing on vacation. When we go on vacation, they're learning different cultures. Every time we go to a different place, they're learning different cultures. Like we went to Jamaica, and they got to see how people live in Jamaica, especially after the hurricane. So, yeah.
What do you think is some of the downfalls from public school that you've seen now that you've seen the other side of homeschool?
Well, you go into public school just like I did. You learn bad habits in public school. Again,
what they're exposed to.
100%. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Like, I do look back on the fact that my kids haven't gone to public school in their older years. My kids are in high school now. 2 of my kids are in high school. And now looking at it, like, they're not getting the whole experience I did. And some of that experience, I think they need to see. You need to see the kids that get in trouble, so to learn from it. Now I'm having to teach my kids, like, on my background. Like, hey, I've seen guys in prison for simple things, for DUI to stabbing somebody, and this is what you should and shouldn't do. Try to stay out of trouble. They don't get that hands-on learning of seeing the kids do that in class.
Yeah. It's a small trade-off for them possibly being the one on the other end of a stabbing or something too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or that they could have been the one that's getting sold the drugs, or things like that.
So I look at it, I have more control at home over the curriculum is a big thing. I get to teach them what I think they need to learn versus, when you look at it, you didn't realize how much time you spent at school doing absolutely nothing.
We realized that a lot during COVID, when their whole schoolwork would be done in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
For the whole day. And I'm like, what are you guys doing for the other 3-4 hours you're at school?
Yeah.
I know you guys got lunch and they're in recess and stuff, but what are you guys doing? Are we just having a babysitter?
Yeah. But then, you look back on it, you're like, when I look at the stuff that they were learning, and I'm like, I'm teaching the kids in this short of a period of time. And it makes you look back on like, what exactly were you guys doing at school? And I was at school too. I've been at school. You're watching like videos, but a lot of that stuff is, you look back on it, it's pointless. They're never going to use it again. So now when I teach the kids, I teach them stuff like we're teaching, my daughter's in a class about money type stuff. So today my wife was going to put a budget for our family of 5, say, you're going to get online and go order groceries for a family of 5. You get X amount of money and you need to do it for the week. So I want, teaching my kids taxes, stuff like that, stuff that they're going to have to learn.
Yeah. Real world application.
They don't teach it in school. Like, why don't we teach that kind of stuff? Why don't we teach kids how to do taxes? But instead you teach me all about the government, which, no offense, but 90% of the stuff about government, unless you get into politics, you're never going to use anyways.
Right.
So many stuff I learned on politics, and I'm pretty heavily into politics. I like watching, where the world's going, but most people don't. So
but that's not the stuff you're learning about. You're learning about stuff that happened a long time ago, or stuff that's like deep politics that you don't need to know about, like,
Absolutely. So
and I think they're also, well, when you look back at like what the education system was when it started, like in the industrial age or whatever, back when they were pretty much just teaching you how to be a worker.
Yes.
Giving you a 15-minute break every 2 hours, a lunch break, another 15, and then that's it.
And we don't do that anymore.
Right. But that's how they were doing, is like you're just creating the factory worker.
Yep.
And that's the same system we still use today. I'm not saying that education isn't a bad thing. I just think that I seen a huge difference when I put my kids back into public school this year. They were homeschooled, and then they go back, and now their attitudes are like way worse. And I'm like, what am I exposing you to,
Yeah.
And then I look at my kids' spelling test. She brings it home the other day, and it says 100%. I'm like, good job, I'm looking at it. I'm like, that word's spelled wrong. What am I? And my wife's like, that's not the first time this has happened. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I'm not saying that teachers don't make mistakes every once in a while, and they got like, a lot of kids, they got a big caseload, as we would say, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm like, that my biggest thing while we put our kids into public school, or pulled them from public school one year, one was the COVID. We've seen how much time is wasted. And 2 is like, let's make this something that they like to do, and not something that is just, because that's what they're telling. Like, if you like to cook, we're going to make all your curriculum around like your fractions now, and everything going to be around cooking, and you're going to understand why it's very important for you to get the right measurements down, and your math has to be correct when you're doing these things. And you're going to see automatically that feedback loop. You're like, oh, I messed this up. Where did I make a mistake? Rather than like, oh, you just missed number 3. And the big thing for me too is their report cards would come home, and I knew my daughter was struggling with math, like pretty good struggling, and it said standards met, like on the report card. It was like standards exceeded, standards met, standards below, or whatever, right? But it was like standards met. I'm like, what are you guys' standards?
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
she's struggling, and you're saying standards are met?
But they just have a standard for everybody. I mean, you got so many kids they're doing on it.
Yeah.
They don't know each individual kid.
How have your kids liked the homeschooling since they've made the switch?
We've talked about our kids going back to public school, and they said no.
Yeah.
Like, you do miss out on several things that I did when I went to public school. I mean, you miss out on prom and stuff like that. My kids do the school that they go to. I forgot what it's called. But the school that they go to, like, they have times where all the kids from the school meet up together. Like, they'll go to the park and all the kids can meet up together. So
like a co-op, right?
Yeah, but they see each other on the courses. Like, sometimes they have classes.
Like a Zoom call?
Yeah. And all the kids are on there. Most of them are just bouncing off the walls, but especially my youngest kids' classes. I mean, but the teenagers can go out and see each other and stuff. And that's nice. We haven't really partaken that much in those because we're usually gone or busy. I mean, we do travel a lot. And so they have stuff like that. But they do miss out when you look at it. They miss out on a lot of stuff like prom, homecoming, stuff like that you won't get to see. But then I look back on it and like, did that matter really that much to me? Like, all that meant is
I was getting in trouble those nights.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you go to prom and Mom, you didn't hear this on here, but I mean, what did you do at prom? Well, I danced a little bit and then I went and got hammered afterwards.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
doing stuff that you shouldn't have that could have got you in trouble anyways. Like,
Yeah. Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock at night
go
anyway.
going to kegers in
Yeah.
high school, and it's just like the stuff that you shouldn't do. And yeah, that made me who I am, but at the same time, like I want better for my kids.
Yeah. I feel like it makes them more. It makes them more. Gosh, I can't even talk today. It's like they're more prepared for the real world.
Yeah.
When you're doing homeschool, because like you said, they're already doing stuff around like curriculum around the things that they're already doing. Like you guys
Absolutely.
make it a part of their life instead of like, here's your main school like 80% of the time. Now let's go have a life over here. You're having
Yes.
your 80% of your life, and let's make education around
Yep.
what you already like to do. It's gonna stick a lot better if you're doing it that way anyway.
Yeah, and I need my kids to do that because again, growing up, I don't blame this on my parents at all, but like obviously going to public school, you didn't learn about taxes and stuff like that. Well, then I joined the military, and you got to start doing your taxes, and it's just like I have no clue what I'm doing. Calling mom like, hey, what do I do? And she's trying to explain this over the phone, and it's just like, why don't they teach you this in school?
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff that you're gonna have to use, but instead you're teaching me stuff that I know I'm never gonna use.
It's crazy. So now you're going and being a gunsmith.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Almost done graduating.
What made you want to do that?
So I had got when I left the prison. Actually, before I left the prison, I was going to school to become a radiology tech.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And started doing that. Realized that was too hard to do that schooling. I mean, I know people do it, but trying to do that schooling while working at the prison as much as I worked. All those shifts that you had, extra shifts you had to work, mandatory overtime and stuff. And it got to the point where I couldn't handle that. So I dropped out of that school. When I left the prison, I was kind of wondering what I was going to do. And I went into the airline industry. And I love the airline industry, getting ready, being able to fly and do more things, travel with the family. Just wasn't fulfilled. Like, there was days that I would be like, I need to do something that's more. So I was looking at things to do, and I got on the internet one day, and I was on Facebook, and this thing popped up like, hey, ever thought about doing a gunsmith? And I was like, I love guns. Like, I love everything about guns. Shooting them, feeling them, working on them, tearing them apart, putting them back together, different types of ammunition. I was like, hey, I could be a gunsmith. But I'd never thought about that. I'd never thought about any schooling nearby. So I clicked on this link, and it brought me to SDI, Sonoran Desert Institute, which I'm now involved with. I'm on my second year of it, getting ready to graduate here and after this semester. And clicked on it, and they're like, hey, it was free to go. The military paid me. Not only did they pay for my schooling, for my GI Bill, because I had the 9/11 GI Bill, but they also paid for me to go. So they paid for the schooling, and then they pay me a stipend to live off of because I'm not working as much. I'm going to school. So I was like, hey, I could do this. So got online, got it all worked out, and started doing the courses, and it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. I wish I could learn more. I wish the schooling had more in-depth. Some of the stuff I've learned a lot. There's some stuff that I wish I had learned more of. And I'm going to work on, like, I graduate here in end of February, March time frame.
That went by quick.
I know, 2 years. When I looked at it, I was like, I still feel like I just started the other day. But I'm going to take another 5 months of handgun courses. I've already got that lined up. I've just got to sign the paperwork on it. I'm going to do the 5 months of handgun courses once I'm done with this. And I've done rifles, shotguns. I just got done building a 308 AR that they sent me in the mail. Just built that, 3 days ago? No, I built it on Monday. Got that done with. I built a flintlock percussion cap rifle. Built that. I'm just browning the barrel on that, and I'm done with that. So I've built all these different weapons that they pay for you. I mean, the government pays for. Somebody's paying for to go to do these courses. And then the handgun courses, they send you 3 different handguns that you get to build and take apart. So pretty stoked for that.
What all does it entail when you're building it? Are you milling them out and things like that, or?
No. So That's again, which I wish I would get more in depth into, but you don't in these courses. No, they send you all the lowers and stuff all torn apart. So you just put all the parts back together, which I had
Okay.
already had experience in AR building anyways. I don't know what the handgun courses are going to entail.
Man, that's tough. Honestly, like I took an AR armory course and I struggled the most out of everybody in that course. Not like because what they did was I took everything apart in pieces, put them in their own little piles. This was their guns, so they didn't care. But I put them in little piles, to put them back together, and I
Yep.
knew that. What this dude does is he comes and grabs like a handful of your stuff, a handful of his, a handful of everybody's, and puts it in a bucket, and then just puts it all on the table and says, "Put your guns back together." Dude, I struggled so freaking bad because all the springs start to look the same, but they're like millimeters apart, like different sizes, and
Yeah.
I'm like putting the wrong spring in places, and then it won't work, and it won't. Dude, I was so frustrated. Blake Anderson was with me, and he had to help me like calm down, and like I was just like, dude, I can't figure this out. So like, kudos to gunsmiths and like knowing every little spring because it's way harder than just because you can just drop a whole trigger assembly in, that's fine.
Yeah.
But when you got to take that apart and everything's laid out, and then they mix it all in a bucket, and you got to know the differences in each spring. Kudos.
And just think, ARs are the easiest ones to do too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what is? I think the hardest ones I've heard is 1911s.
1911. So certain ones. So if you look at like Kimber, the Kimber 1911s, those things have so many parts.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's crazy. I mean, Glocks are nice. Glocks
yeah,
are easy.
Glocks are easy. I mean, it's like an AR. Everything's modular. You just pull out the whole
It's like
trigger
what,
assembly.
13 pieces
Yeah.
on
You
a
pull out the whole trigger assembly and put a whole new trigger assembly in. It's just like that. And now they've got fancy stuff like with ARs, just drop in triggers. Like you have the old mil spec triggers that you got the 3 different springs and the 3 different action parts. And now you just got to drop in triggers just in a little box and you just drop it in. So
What's been some of the crazy stuff that you've learned that you would have never thought about that had to do with gunsmithing?
Oh, it has to do with like not really building, but like so I had this rifle, Shenandoah rifle. It's a flintlock rifle. And you're doing all the woodworking on it. So it just comes with it comes with a stock, the whole stock and rifle assembly. But there's been nothing done to it. So you got to carve out all the individual parts so you can put the pieces into it. The flintlock and stuff, it's not there. You have to carve all that stuff out. So it's called inletting. You put this inletting ink around the trigger assembly and you stick it against there. And then when you pull it off, it leaves a little markings on there. You have to trim all that stuff out with files and stuff. That was difficult. I like woodworking. I've always been good with woodworking, but that was difficult because again, if you're off by, less than an eighth of an inch, now that thing is wobbling in there. So you have to do it. You're just trimming up like little slivers at a time to make sure that thing fits in there just perfect. If it fits in there too tight, it won't work. Fits in there too loosely, it won't work. And you know what they say, you can take off so much wood, but you can't put the wood back on there.
Right.
So luckily I got it right the first time, but other kids in my class, like the teacher had written me, she's like, "I'm surprised you got this." She's like, "Most people don't get this." And she's like, "Usually they just ruin the rifle and you only get one chance at it." So, and like a lot of the stuff I don't have the tools for. I didn't have a drill press, so I'm freehanding with a regular drill. And I got it correct the first time. And I remember writing the teacher, I was like, "I don't know how I did this." She's like, "You did an incredible job." And I was like, "It's luck." It was pure luck. I'm not going to sit here and toot my own horn and say it was skill because it wasn't. I got lucky on a lot of the stuff that I did and because I didn't have the tools that I needed to. So, but I think that's going to make me a better gunsmith in the end. Of like, now I know what I can do. Like, yeah, it's going to be difficult, but I've done it before. So if I've done this before, I can do that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What about on the legal side of it? I remember talking to you a little bit and you were telling me I think you were in the law portion of this whole thing and like you can't work on other people's guns or something. What was some of the stuff on that you've learned that's kind of interesting?
So I'm actually in the process. Once I graduate, I'm gonna get an FFL and open up my own business. And the FFL process is a big step. So the way it works legally is it's kind of like a gray area. So you're being a buddy of mine. If you gave me your rifle, I guess I could work on it. But once I get an FFL, I can't do that. So now I have to do all the paperwork on it. And technically, So if I'm doing it for a business, so like if I started my own business right now, I could not take your weapon unless I had an FFL. Technically, you should not be working on someone's weapon unless you have an FFL. Because now I'm taking that rifle from you and putting it in my possession. It's now mine. For the time I have it, it is mine. Anything I do on it, it's anything that happens to it is my fault. So if I was to trim that thing, your trigger up and make that a fully automatic weapon, that comes back on me. So there's got to be like a paper trail kind of thing.
Oh, right on.
So, but yeah, that's the legal. There's a lot of legal stuff that I had no clue. Like I didn't know that. I've worked on people's firearms before, and little did I know you're actually supposed to have an FFL to be doing that.
Dang. What are you, when you open up your own place, what are you gonna like want to specialize in? Is it just working on others' guns, or you want to make your own, like kind of kits, or is that not something you want to talk about yet?
No, definitely. So I want to specialize in AR and AK platform builds. They both ARs have had my attention since I was younger. You know, I played my dad. My dad has an original Colt AR-15. Got the triangle stocks, like old school style, like Vietnam. Same ones they had in Vietnam, just not automatic. And that's where I really got into guns, was from my dad. And then I got into a lot more than he did. Growing up, I liked everything guns. So the AR is really what stuck with me. I like building them. There's so many different parts to them, and they're so modular. You know, you can put in a lower from this one and an upper from this one, different brands, and a trigger assembly and a buffer assembly, and all the pieces go together and it makes one complete rifle. And you could have 10 different brands of parts in there, and they work out seamlessly. And then while I was into the military, I got, obviously that fed my addiction even more into ARs. And then I got into AKs. Obviously overseas you get to play with AKs and get to see those. So that got my attention too. And got back, bought my first AK, a 9mm AK, a Vitsnev Cologne from Palmetto State Armory. And that's where I love for AKs just really got to me. And I like the different, you know, they're piston driven versus the gas driven, and the different parts of those. So when I get done with school, I definitely want to open up a gun shop, gunsmithing shop, focusing on AR and AK platforms. I'll probably do more than that. Like I have looked about like doing jigs and stuff for 80% lowers and making my own. I'd like to help out the gun industry and maybe come up with something new, come up with my own thing. Probably more parts for AR or AK platform. Again, stuff that I want to focus on. I don't know. I got a lot of things in my mind, and I don't know if they'll go anywhere, or maybe I'll end up a millionaire one day building my own gun parts. That'd be sick.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
How long does it take to get an FFL?
I suppose so. It should only take like a couple of months max. Like, because the hardest part with getting an FFL is mainly getting business. So they don't want it's not just everybody has an FFL. So the way I looked at it when I talked to the ATF is basically if I have a business plan, it's easier to get an FFL because there's a reason to have an FFL. Because they don't want, just like I said, every dude having an FFL and just having guns shipped all over the place. So once I get the business name, which I've come up with a couple of different business names, I got to see if those are going to pan out. You got to look at if there's other names or those same
like
names.
Trademarks and stuff. Yeah.
So I got to look into that, but I've come up with a few different names.
That's sick, man. So by the end of the year, you think you should have that all up and running?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, that's awesome.
I'll have it done for sure by the end of the year. I'm hoping mid-year.
That's awesome. You guys have a great entrepreneurial spirit between you and your wife. I think you guys will do fine.
That came from her.
Yeah.
You know, when I didn't have the entrepreneurial side until I met her, and she got into making cups, and then one thing led to another. And, you know, I got my youngest is an entrepreneur. He's starting his own hat business now. And yeah.
That's awesome.
Jumped from family member to family member now.
Well, that's cool that you guys are setting the groundwork for them, though, you know, because
Yeah.
they could have just seen you guys not doing anything, and then they would have known, but you guys took that step, and it's not been easy. I know that, being a business owner myself now. Like, there's a lot of times you're like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah, why am I doing this?
Yeah. You just got to keep pushing, man. I mean, That's crazy.
Yeah, and you're doing good too. You got the whole podcast thing going, and now you got your workout program going. And
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know why I would have ever started a podcast. If you would have asked me when we were working together in G Block, where I would have been in 5 years from then.
I'd never seen you as a gym bro either.
No.
Never.
And I don't still consider myself like a gym bro. I just know I need to do it for my own mental health.
Yeah.
Like the gym, we were talking about mental health earlier, like the gym for me was the most therapeutic thing I've ever had. And I've had hundreds of thousands of dollars in psychologists throughout my whole life, from being like in 5 years old, starting there, like, not my adult life. I didn't really do any psychologist stuff, but like the gym, man, for me was just the mental clarity I got. Like there's 3 out of 5 days a week that I don't feel like going to the gym, man. I'm not like, I don't live for it. But I know how much of an impact it's had on me, and it's changed my life. So that's why I decided to go fully into the gym areas, just to help other like parents. It's not even like, I'm not going to be a bodybuilding coach, but like if you can shed 20, 30 pounds and just see the self-confidence you feel, and now you're going to be passing that off to your kids, as anything else in life, passing those things off to your kids is really huge to me, like breaking those generational curses and setting up the generations to come. I think that's what really drives me. It's not to do with the muscles. That's just a byproduct, but
Especially being chaos, you got all your kids going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've seen those videos of parents that can't protect their kids, right? You see the stroller rolling down the hill and it's going into the street, and they're like trying to run after it, and they trip, right? And it's funny, but it's also sad. And somebody else has to run and like save the kid. And like as a parent, that is the scariest thing to me, is to not be able to protect my kids.
Right.
And I think that should be the scariest thing for any parent, is like to be thinking of that. Like, what if I were to watch my kid die because I wasn't quick enough, or I was in shape, or I didn't have the endurance to like keep, if they're whatever it is. So to me, it's like, once you become a parent, that's not even an option. Like you have to be able to at least sprint 50 yards without stopping, like be able to catch your kids. And especially, I mean, we both have autistic kids, like, they're I shouldn't say unstable, but you don't know what they're going to do next.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like, bro.
And your kid's crazier than mine.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like, for me, I'm not a gym bro. I just see the benefits of fitness. I'm a fitness bro, not a gym bro. I think there's a difference, but hopefully, I don't know. But yeah, the podcast thing, actually, it's funny because Coeur d'Alene was where that mindset shift changed for me. I went up on that AR armory course. Blake and I did the day, and then after, I had a tea time to go do the floating green. It was like 4:00 in the afternoon, like the last tea time they had, and my back was hurting me. I didn't want to go, but I was like, I don't know when I'm going to get back up to Coeur d'Alene and have this opportunity.
Did you bring clubs with you?
I did. Yeah, we took our own car. It was like a state vehicle, so we just.
Oh, okay.
And I went and played the what's the other one? The casino that you have to pass to get to Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, Coeur d'Alene Casino.
Yeah, what's it? What's the name of it though?
What's the name of what?
The golf course there. It's.
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know much about.
Oh,
golfing
that's gonna bug
at all.
me. Anyway, I think it's a bird. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, circling raven. That's what it's called. Okay, so I went and played. We went there the morning. We go up. I drop Blake off at the hotel. I go back 30 minutes and play circling raven. Amazing course. There was nobody out there. It was just me. It was perfect. So the next day we do our armory course. I drop Blake off at the hotel again, and I go to in town. Whatever it's called, the circling raven, or not circling raven, the floating green course.
Yeah, yep.
Was it just there? It's just Coeur d'Alene Resort, I think, right? Yeah. So they pair me with this twosome, and they were both like high-end bankers, I think, out of Montana. We're really cool dudes. And we were playing, and I was just like, I'm thinking about going into business one day. What's some advice you guys would give me? And they said, don't quit. It's going to be hard, and you're going to want to quit. Just don't quit. Keep going. And build relationships. You don't know what the relationships will do for you in a business. And I think I took that to heart when I was thinking about like just hearing people's stories. I was like, what a better way to build a relationship than to hear people's stories and then also learn from their mistakes that they've made along the way. And then I was like, all right, let's start a podcast.
That's true. Now that you mentioned that, of like, since we've gotten into business, like making business relationships with people that I would have never have thought, like some of the relationships we have built with people that have taken us to where we're at now has been it's just been crazy. Like I never would have thought that I would never met these people if it wasn't for the business, and it's taken us, growing us where we're at now. Like, we met some people through the VA and wound up getting a VA contract and did some stuff with different soccer clubs and Meridian High School. So just meeting people wound up being people that are like, oh, actually, we make a cut for somebody and then they take it to somebody else. And then that person calls us like, hey, I need this for my business. And
yeah.
Now we're doing clothing and everything else. So yeah.
Yeah, give a quick plug, like tell everybody what you guys do, and I'll clip this up so you guys can put it out in your stuff.
So right now, the company's called Treasure Valley Crafting. We started out doing tumblers, epoxy, and then we got into laser engraving, and we do laser engraving stuff. And then we got into clothing, and now we're blown up, do clothing lines for different companies, and
do laser engraving. That's
laser
sweet.
Engraving. Do some stuff for soccer clubs, and do all sorts of laser engraving for all sorts of different companies now.
Different hoodies for fitness companies.
Yeah, fitness companies. Yeah, I mean, if you can think of it, we can put it on a sweatshirt or a cup.
Yeah, they're really good. I've used them since I've started having any merch, so I've always been with them.
You got us
another one of my buddies does it, and then
you got us in with a few different companies.
Yeah, a lot of people have been pleased with it, so
yeah,
definitely check them out. You guys got social media? I don't know if does the Treasure Valley one, or is it just Breeze?
No, it's Treasure Valley Crafting. We've got we got Instagram now. I think we've got the TikTok page working up. I do marketing for them. We're working on the Instagram or the TikTok part, but we've got a Facebook page. And once we get bigger, we'll get other stuff going, but we're just trying to grow the company right now.
Sick. I'll tag you guys in it so that they can go.
It's been difficult. It's been there's been some moments that I'm just like, why are we doing this? But then it all pays out. We get slow times, like we're in a slow season right now. It's just after the holidays, so people got all their holiday stuff done. So we're at a real slow time right now. We're hoping it picks up again.
Yeah. Yeah, but you guys got a plan for that too, because then there's times where you guys are just slammed. I remember there's times where you guys are like every single weekend you were gone, or it'd be even like a couple events a week you would have to switch. So
and it was hard with our traveling because we'd have to put on there. We don't have any employees yet, and we've looked at employees during our heavier months that maybe have an employee, especially like when we travel, because we've got people that clients that need stuff and we're traveling. And it's just like, we can't do anything. So with this last vacation we were on, we were like, hey, we got to find some employees, and we got some ideas on some employees that we'll probably work on when it comes to those busy months.
Yeah. You got kids. Those are great employees.
Yeah. And like I said, my youngest, he's now started his own hat brand, and
that's cool. I don't know if I've seen those. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. He hasn't put them out. He has them for himself, and he made one for my my other son and his friend. So
make sure when he does it, I'll share it. Yeah. That's cool. I always want to support other people, especially kids. That's cool. Right. You can start getting that. Maybe they'll go on Shark Tank one day.
Maybe. Who knows? That'd be cool. I'd love to see him on TV one day.
Right. All right, Brock. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's been good.